Hello, everybody. Welcome. National Master Ian Harris here. We are doing some live coverage of Kamryn's games from the Las Vegas National Open. So, thank you for joining us. We will have some other commentators joining us shortly as well, just so you know. Expecting FIDE Master Nate Solon to join us shortly for this round. The games are underway. And Kamryn is currently playing white against Mike Owen. Unfortunately, it seems like the board relay is having a little bit of an issue. So I am following the game based off what I can see on the board, which, as you can see, is rather small. We will try to get that fixed for next rounds, but it is what it is. So just getting myself a little bit situated here. I had to scramble to just get this set up a little bit. But yeah, the game is underway. And as you can see, Kamryn is playing her favorite London system. And her opponent has played a Dutch. So be very interesting to see how this goes. I've played both sides of this opening before, and well, it could be a very positional game. It really depends on what happens next. Um, Not too much action so far, just in the very early stages. We started a little bit late because Kamryn's opponent was late to the game, unfortunately. So we were waiting to get going until he arrived. Otherwise, it would have been, I imagine, rather boring just with one move on the board, just sitting here waiting for him. But anyway, we are underway now. And it is a little bit of a struggle right now to see what is going on. I am pretty sure Black has fianchettoed his bishop. So I'm hoping they keep adding um, new games to live broadcast, and I'm really hoping that Kamryn's game will show up there soon, and I can get the official relay going. I'm not really a big fan of what Black has done so far. I thought at first he was going to go for a stonewall setup, which would have been with c6 and d5, which is usually how this goes when they start with f5 and e6. And it looks like he's trying to transpose into a Leningrad Dutch, which is interesting. I've never seen that played that way before. So it'll be interesting to see how Kamryn responds to this because this is definitely unusual. But the Leningrad Dutch would have d6, with Black playing for potentially e5. We'll have to see if that's what he does. I'm a little bit confused right now. We'll need a little bit of clarification once Black makes a few more moves. But for now, Kamryn should just develop normally. That's what I would do here. It's a little bit strange from Black, but it's nothing totally crazy where she can try to punish him immediately. Probably there's not a way. She's gone bishop e2, and Black is playing quickly. I'm pretty sure I see that he castled. Yeah, bishop e2 is a fine move, especially um, because of black's pawn structure. Normally in a London, you would put the bishop on d3, but this position is slightly different because d6 and e5, and you don't want to get hit by e4 moves. So e2 is a safer square. Anyway, you don't want to be running into the pawn chain. And Kamryn can castle. She can bring her knight out. Queen c2 maybe is a move. All would be perfectly reasonable. Maybe she can also think about h3. Knight h5 isn't out of the question, and it might be nice to be able to just drop that bishop back to h2. She played knight c3. We had some quick moves. We have knight c3. We have d6, castles, and queen e7. Yeah, so this is looking much more like a Leningrad Dutch. Black would like to play e5. They cannot yet, of course, but that's on the way. And we are also on a stream delay, 15-minute stream delay. So unfortunately, if you're typing anything in the chat, it'll be, for me, it'll be something that I said 15 minutes ago. So I apologize if it's not always possible for me to reply for you in real time, but I will do my best to answer any questions that you may have, if I'm able. Okay, which reminds me, I need to bring up the chat. Can't answer the chat if I don't have the chat open, so give me one moment to do that. And pardon me for one moment, I'm also going to see if they actually have the live game in the broadcast here. Hopefully, that'll help a lot. I'm doing the best I can, but it's very hard to see. Okay, not yet. They have not added her game to the live stream yet. So we'll keep going manually. Thank you for anybody tuning in. I know it's late, but hopefully I have some exciting moves game for you. So far, no trades, so it might be a long one. Okay, let's see here. E5 is not a threat yet. I would play. I would seriously think about h3 here, because I want to be ready in the event that e5 is played. I might even play bishop back a little bit prophylactically, so that this move doesn't come with tempo, and then I have some options. I can play d5, I can maybe take, or maybe even just ignore it. Rook e1. is a possibility in positions like this, discouraging black from taking and opening up this file to the queen. And you could get some position like this where black has a lot of space on the king side. White's king is pretty safe, at least for the short term, and white could start trying to attack on the queen side with moves like knight b5 and going after this pawn, which, by the way, is not super simple to protect because of this bishop coming in. You got pressure from both angles. So it's probably not. Well, black could play like this, but they'll have to spend some time to sort of make sure they don't get into trouble on the queen side. Moves like a6 to prevent knight b5. There's a lot of ways this can go. That's just one example. I don't know. I know Kamryn plays the London system quite a bit. I don't know if she has a lot of experience against the Dutch. So she has moved queen c2. That's a flexible move. Not h3, but queen c2. I just like to give that bishop an extra square to run back to if it needs to. I would have preferred h3. Excuse me. Okay. Pretty level. Her opponent's moving pretty quickly. 97. Yeah, I mean, still it's early. 97 is a very natural move. Gearing up for e5. Let's see. How else can we prepare for this? Sorry. Not h3. Take queen c2, knight d7. e5 is definitely coming, so now's her chance to play h3. I think that's the prudent move here. You definitely like to have that dark squared bishop for the pressure on the queen side that it provides later on if she's able to get something with knight b5 going, maybe a combination of c5. The queen is well placed on c2, not only because it helps control e4, but because a rook coming to c1, and you can imagine some trades happening in the center and the c file becoming open. So, plus we've connected our rooks, so she really could put her rooks wherever she wants. It's possible the d file becomes open. e5 we take. So maybe you want to have a rook on d1. Lots of ways she could go here. Probably there's not a big difference between any of the moves. You know, lots of fine moves, and you almost kind of have to just pick one at this point. You don't want to spend too much time. Kamryn did start with like a good 10 extra minutes because her opponent was late. But he has been moving fast, so. Okay. Well, I'm trying to keep an eye on the cam to see when a move is made and also try to do a little analysis at the same time. This is tricky. Very tricky. So, okay. Pardon me 1 second. I'm just going to see if they've added her board yet to the live stream. Um, we have it. We have it. Yes. Okay, this is going to make life a lot easier. Here we go. And let me just make a couple adjustments here. Yikes. Okay, we'll fix this. Hold on. We have the game with the clock times and everything. Yay. That's very good news. We're back in business then. Great. Now I can be a little bit more focused on the analysis. We have the moves. We have the clock times. Everything's looking good. Yeah, Kamryn has an advantage already. Don't know how significant it is, to be honest. I mean, the computer is giving a 1 point advantage, but it's so early in the game. Not sure it really means too much at this point. A lot can happen. What happens after knight b5? This is a move I'm thinking about because it's a little bit annoying for black, perhaps, because how do you defend this pawn? Right? If you move this knight out of the way so the queen can protect, let's say, knight somewhere, now you're not really prepared to play e5 anymore. So the idea that I have is we can attack c7 and sort of divert black's attention from the center a little bit, distract them from being able to play e5. And if they can't play e5 or they don't get it in, then maybe they're in a bit of a cramped situation. I mean, that's really the whole idea for black. So they should be able to get e5 in. Maybe we can distract them with something like this. Alternatively, queen d8, but it's really weird to have played the queen to e7 and then to go back again. Yeah, she might be thinking about this. She's played h3. Okay. Yeah, h3. That was the move I wanted for a little while now. Makes a lot of sense. That way, when e5 comes, the bishop can just drop back. Black doesn't really have any threats after that. Taking on d4, that trade is fine. e4, even though black's getting space in the center, it reopens up our bishop, and there's some problems on these two squares if combined with the knight. So, and black might have space in the center on the king side, potentially with an attack coming, but it's a little bit slow. Okay. Normally I would, okay, so we have a couple moves. Normally after e5, I would be pretty happy just to drop back. But Kamryn took our first exchange of the game. Knight takes e5. Wow, okay, this was not what I was expecting at all. This is a position that I have not had before, that's for sure. And I'm a London player. You get um, Dutch defenses every once in a while, but I've never seen it quite like this. I don't, yeah, I don't know about Black's knight takes e5 here. To be honest, it might be okay, but uh, I mean, usually Black likes to have two pawns in the center, push one. Yeah, they get space and sort of good prospects for a kingside attack. But I don't know that this knight on e5 is so dangerous. I really don't. Her opponent looks confident. I'll say that. I do have the eval bar going. I don't actually have the computer lines in front of me. I might turn them on here or there just to check if I get stuck on something. So just letting you guys know that. Hey, rookie. Hello, everybody. Rat Bandit. Hi there. I don't really know what her opponent is doing. He keeps getting up from the board and he's recording while standing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would spend a little bit of time here thinking because it's hard to know what exactly she should do. Let's see what exactly makes sense here. Oh, she moved. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a couple moves already. She took, mm, and bishop h2. Okay. Yeah, couple quick moves played there, and I don't like that decision by Kamryn, to be honest, because she sort of just restored Black's control over the center with the two pawns. She should have done is probably just, you know what, if Black's going to make a million moves with this knight, let him take. We'll just take back. I was thinking a little bit about c5. That move seemed kind of interesting to me. Being aggressive in the center, try to create some pawn weaknesses. Um, and the idea is if Black takes, we take back. And we have two very powerful bishops. If Black were to take, I think this would be very risky because, again, we have knight b5. Temporarily up a pawn. Computer doesn't love my knight b5 move, but there's a lot of pressure. We're temporarily down a pawn, we're going to get it back. Can't really develop this bishop so easily because maybe b7 falls. Yeah, I like this position for white. This is more what I would have gone for. Apparently there was something a bit better in this position. Let's see. Interesting. Just rook d1. That's what it liked. Rook d1 in this position. And you know what? Black has an extra pawn, but there's so much pressure here and here. Our pieces are very active. And computer likes this. Says, look, we got full compensation with our piece activity in this position. Yeah. Pawn sacrifice. I would have been kind of tempted to go knight b5 immediately, but computer is just much more patient, I guess, in this position. Yeah, it makes sense. But back to the game, the way it went. Okay, this is what I was advocating for earlier in the game, essentially, to play this h3, get ready to play bishop h2. But as soon as Black had played knight e5 and didn't put two pawns in the center, I think that was an opportunity for us to be a little more flexible and change our plan. So, okay, well, it is what it is. Mhm. Yeah, it's a little bit harder to see a path forward for white in this position. Black does not need to play e4. So this bishop may get kind of stuck here for a long time. There's not really a way for white to force e4. Black may end up playing it eventually anyway, but there's no rush. No rush. Ricky, thanks for joining us. 4 a.m. Oh man, I thought I was up late. Okay. Um, nope, we're still waiting for black. He's thinking after bishop h2. Is the Las Vegas or Charlotte Chess Center a bigger tournament? Um, I know Charlotte's having a large one this same weekend. I think with about 400 players, but I think Las Vegas is bigger. It's definitely got a much larger prize fund. Um, but in terms of number of players, I think they definitely have more than 400. But I'd have to check to be sure. Oh, I thought he had moved, but I guess not. Still thinking. Okay. The one thing Black needs to figure out here is where to put this bishop. How exactly should it get developed? You can't play bishop here, I don't think, because then you run into bishop takes e5. It's where you'd like the bishop to be. I suppose you might be able to play b6 and go bishop here. Depends on if your plan is to play e4 or not. This is probably what Black is thinking about is how to get this bishop in the game. It's not so easy to say. Maybe there's bishop d7, bishop c6. That's sort of a flexible thing to do. Something like e4 would be very risky, I think, because of these knight b5 ideas and opening up this bishop again. There's no reason to let that happen at this point. And all black has to do is find like just a fine move to finish their development, and it's going to be difficult for Kamryn to do much. Yeah, because I mean she can put a rook on d1, either rook, but then where do we go? She sort of has like one more very natural move in the position, and then there's a big question on where to go from there. It's not so easy. Um, c6 is the move for black in this position. It's a very logical move because it takes away any future jumps for this knight. Never know. And so it's good, just a little prophylaxis if we don't know exactly where this bishop belongs. Just restrict the knight. And that's going to make Kamryn's decision a little bit harder. Okay, well, he's thinking away. So yeah, if c6 We could probably play a very natural move like rook d1. Yeah, it's not easy for either side to find moves here because you don't really want to do this. You want to play bishop d6, but you can't because it's attacked. So some knight move might be possible, but they're very unnatural. The computer suggests knight back to d7, or 98. It likes 98 the most, and then g5. That's a super aggressive move. But none of them are super intuitive. I mean, g5 looks like it starts to weaken the king. It's not even obvious that you want to play g4. And, retreating this knight to block the bishop doesn't seem ideal either. 98, the idea is now we protect with the bishop, and I believe then we'll be able to play bishop to e6. This is what black should do. But it's not clear then what do you do with this knight once it's on e8. I don't know. It's hard to say. Thank you, everybody, for joining. If you have questions, feel free to throw them my way, and I will do my best to answer. But just keep in mind that I am 15 minutes ahead of you. So, okay, we have a move. Black played b6. No, I don't like this move. Something about it. It doesn't deal with the fact that c7 could be a target at some point. He wants to put the bishop on b7. That's pretty clear. But there's going to be some conflicts in his own position. Like if he puts the bishop on b7, he can never play this natural e4 move, which, if black wants to attack near white's king, you want to play e4, gain some space, but then it would be in the way of the bishop. Maybe Kamryn should play bishop to f3 right now. That would be kind of an interesting move, because just to provoke e4. Just to provoke it. Yeah, actually, the more I think about it, the more I like bishop f3. We go here, and it's very annoying for the rook, first of all. And yes, black gains a tempo, but I'm actually kind of okay with it. It makes this move look kind of silly. What are you going to do? Put your bishop here aiming at this pawn? You could, but it's not the ideal setup that black was picturing before. And we get our bishop open, so that we lose a tempo, but now there starts to be some ideas. Ganging up on c7. I know I keep coming back to that, but that's like really the only plan for white in this situation, that at least at the moment. So yeah, probably I like the idea of bishop f3. I'm sure there's other moves as well. Not really so scared of bishop b7, to be honest. Yeah, that was a surprising move. Kamryn replied pretty quickly. What did she do? No, I don't know if that's what she did. Let's see. Oh, maybe it is. Oh, maybe she's still thinking. That's possible. Sorry, I thought I saw that she did a move. Just gonna get a refresh in here. No, she's still thinking. Okay. Yeah, let's see what the best move is. Bishop f3, provoking e4, and then okay, yeah, I'm just verifying. Spewing nonsense. Bishop f3, e4, you provoke it, and you just drop back. Yeah, and then And then it no longer makes sense for black to put the bishop on b7. So then they go to e6. Ooh, a little lag on my mouse there. Sorry about that. But then the question is, well, why has black played the b6 move? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Okay. So hopefully she comes up with that. I don't know what else really makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's an opportunity to exploit this diagonal while she can. She might get nervous about allowing black to play e4, but it's actually what you want. It's a little bit counterintuitive. At some point during the stream, we are expecting V-Day Master Nate Solon to join us. When he can, he will be joining us to co-commentate. And I think he has some experience with the London as well, so I'd be curious to see what he thinks about the opening and this moment in particular. Yeah, bishop f3 is sort of important right now because you really don't want to give black the opportunity to put the bishop on b7. If then you're playing bishop f3, it's too late. Right? If you try something like rook d1, bishop b7, then bishop f3, it's no good anymore. So she's going to play it. Now is the chance. Now is the time. This structure isn't going to hold up for very long. It's very easy to just move the knight out of the way and bring the queen in to attack some of these weaknesses. By the way, Nate Solon will be here at some point tonight, and my usual partner in crime, Omar Mills, Chess Von Doom, will be here for tomorrow's game, which is at, let's see, 1 p.m. Central Time in Vegas, or Pacific Time in Vegas, and 4 p.m. Eastern Time if you're in the United States. So we hope that you will be back for that game. Will not be so late. Yeah, so anyway, she should not go into this. Definitely she needs to find bishop f3. You know, the longer she thinks in this position, I think it's more likely she's going to find it. Just that e4 move is a little bit scary, you know. Yeah, and also it's just scary to give up tempos like that, letting your opponent get space in the center for free, seemingly. But yeah, that's the best move here. You want this move because otherwise this bishop has nothing to do. Now it's open. Now it's putting pressure. And at the same time, this bishop can't come out. And she's played it. She's played it. Very nice. Okay. Very nice move. Yes, bishop f3 had to be played now. Otherwise, it would have been too late. Yeah, I don't know how he's going to respond to this. It's maybe not what he was expecting, to be honest. Have to face this immediate attack. She got on the diagonal first. His whole plan was to get bishop to b7, and now he can't. Yeah. Good for Kamryn. That was a gutsy move to play, to be honest. Very gutsy. For sure, black has to play e4. I suppose maybe rook b8. It's very slow. Very, very slow. Rook b8. White will have some options. We can just ignore it for now and go rook d1 perhaps, and then if bishop b7, maybe we just take it. This is possible. We can also potentially play instead of rook d1, maybe knight d5. It's another possibility. I did want to save the knight for b5, but not hating this scenario. Yeah, rook b8, I'm actually not so sure what the best way is to reply. But it just feels very slow. It feels wrong. But yeah, black plays the natural move e4. And right away, bishop e2. Okay, very good. That was forced. And black has caught up on time, by the way. Not a big issue, but Kamryn has been doing a little bit more thinking, but she's being rewarded for it. She has a better position. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And the whole thing is really, we just want to go knight b5. I want to play this move so badly. If I was black, I might even just play a6 just to prevent that, to be honest. Like, this is a serious candidate move for black. If they're not paying attention to what Kamryn can do, the whole point of provoking e4, we could see something like bishop to b7, which now is probably just misplacing the bishop since it's running into its own pawn. Knight b5 right away might be pretty good. And of course, you have to be pretty careful. You can't ever push this pawn. Like c5 would lose material right away. If you play rook c8, you're very passive, but it might be what black needs to do. And then try to kick the knight out on the next turn. It's possible that knight b5 is a little bit premature here. Hey, Nick. Welcome. Yeah, I actually don't really know what black's going to play here. I think the computer said that bishop to e6 was the best move, switching plans. But then b6 sort of feels like a pretty wasted move. So it's hard to switch plans. Very hard to switch plans. Psychologically, I'd be inclined just to play this move anyway. But, with that diagonal blocked, it makes less sense now. In the meantime, if we're not going to play knight b5, some other possibilities would be rook d1, maybe even like an a4, a5, or I would actually prefer to play b4 and get c5 in. Of course, we have to prepare that a little bit with a3 first. Also not totally against the idea of rook d1, knight d5 could be a possibility. And any trades on d5 open up our queen now to the c7 pawn. That's the target. That's the weakness in black's position that we want to be going after. Not sure if we can make that happen, but that's what I'd be looking to do. Okay, black is thinking, yeah, it's not easy to come up with a move here. Maybe we can develop the bishop somewhere, but what's the plan? Honestly, not very sure. Yeah, we got a stream delay going on, so you guys in the chat maybe um, you're 15 minutes behind me what I'm showing. So, if you have questions or um, anything like that, I'll be happy to try to answer them. But I'm not going to want to do too much backtracking, especially if the game is interesting. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to fire away. Hmm. I mean, it's possible for black to try to attack white's king, but to be honest, it's white has a very solid setup. Even though black has space, it's not so easy to get something going because if you do try something, you're going to, on the other hand, you're opening up your king. I mean, you can try some sort of pawn storm like this. It doesn't really even get through. I can take that. I can maybe play h4 if I really have to. Probably I can just take, which weakens the e4 pawn. There's not a very quick attack on white's king. But if I'm Kamryn, I want to keep the focus on the queen side, on the center, and on the queen side. Okay, bishop to b7 was played. Yeah, very hard to change plans and go to e6 instead. That was the correct thing to do. And Kamryn's advantage grows here. I don't know what the very best move is though. Might be a very calm like rook d1. I really don't want to miss an opportunity to play knight b5. Those are really just the two moves that come to mind right away. Rook d1 is okay. It doesn't feel too special. I mean, black can play either rook perhaps to d8. So, hmm. Yeah, I expect Kamryn will think a little bit here because the choice is not so obvious. Not obvious at all, really. Hmm. Yeah, okay, so let's look at knight b5. I'd really want to make this work if we can. Knight b5, yeah, I see the bar go down, but what exactly does black play here? You can't move the pawn like I said earlier because of this bishop to d6. Maybe you can play c6? Ooh, that seems risky though. What exactly is the move? Yeah, probably, oh yeah, we can just play this anyway. And queen moves out of the way, we're going to take the rook. We get an exchange. This is very good for white. So that's not possible for black. They can't play c6. They can defend the pawn, but whatever they do, it's going to be a little bit awkward. I mean, rook c8, I suppose. Suppose they could do this. Um, yeah, you know what? The pawn is safe, and a6 is coming. So maybe knight b5 was a little bit too early for this very reason. Yeah, a little bit too soon, perhaps. You know what? Yeah, it just doesn't work because black can actually play a6. Let you take the pawn. I believe rook c8. And the knight is trapped. Kamryn has to watch out for this. This would be tempting to go into, but very dangerous. Can't go knight d5, of course, because you're pinned. So you just have to let the rook take and take back with the bishop, but it's a favorable trade for black. Okay, maybe we put a little twist on it. We play rook d1 first. If black answers here, now does it make a difference? Probably, maybe. If now a6, I think we, yeah. No. We can take. That was very loud. I don't know if you guys heard that alert, but it was very loud. Very loud. Okay. Um, but yeah, this is very good for white. Why exactly? This. Wait, just one pawn shouldn't be quite this good though. But it seems like there should be a killer blow. Am I missing something? Clearly. Well, we can take. If rook takes, our knight is safe. If queen takes, we can follow up with maybe 96. Yeah, 96, and then we attack the queen, we get to freedom. And you know what, rook d1 is also pretty good. But why is it almost a rook advantage? d1. Queen goes away, yeah. We have great activity for our pieces. I am cheating a little bit right now. There's also good moves here, apparently. I mean, queen b3, bishop d6, and c5. All good moves for white. Yeah, all very good moves. Our pieces are flooding into the position. There's a weakness here. The queen's getting kicked around. c5 opens up our bishop, and there'll be a weak pawn on c5 if they take us. So yeah, everything's under control in this position. Okay, so I think that means that the way to go is to be kind of sneaky with our move order. We play rook d1 first, so that then if they try to reply by matching it with the rook, we go knight b5. But we have some other different moves, unfortunately. So that's not going to happen because we have we have bishop b7. We have rook fd1 was played. Yes? Very nice. a6. Huh. It's a very patient move, but maybe a little bit slow. Okay. I mean, now I'm looking at the moves knight d5. That's what I want to play. But we have moves. We have rook d2. Okay. There was an opportunity here, but not a very obvious one. I mean, a4, queen b3 were the moves apparently, but not very obvious. And Kamryn has a plan. She went rook d2, and she's doubling her rooks. We may see mass exchanges on this d file. I mean, that's what's coming. Yeah, that's gonna be probably still a small advantage for white. Honestly, it's all just because this bishop's actually doing something. Talk about piece activity all the time in my lessons when I'm working with people, and it's so important. And when you compare the bishops for both sides to each other, you have one really good bishop here, but neither of black's bishops are really in the game doing anything. This bishop's not doing so much either. So you have kind of two bad light squared bishops, but this one is just so good and very annoying to black. You can never push this pawn because of bishop to d6. And so it just remains a target for white for a long time. Yeah, and by the way, even if you do push this pawn, then b6 becomes a weakness. So you're not out of the woods by any means. Queen b3 would be a move, knight a4 would be an idea, attacking those two pawns. So it's really hard to push this pawn or to make it safe. Pushing, if that's not an option, then you have to keep it guarded, which means the queen is stuck to the pawn. In this position, I'm expecting we'll probably get a lot of trades. And I'm nervous that if we just start trading too much, the position might just peter out and be pretty even. For example, you know what? It's not so easy for black. Of course, if rook takes, then this is pretty even. But actually, I just realized that black's in a bit of a pickle because if you play rook takes, we take with the queen, and now we own the file. Yeah, yeah. This is the way to go. And there's no mass trades. That rook d8 is not possible there. We're not going to have mass trades here, I don't think. Unless black does something and Kamryn decides to trade everything, which I think would be a mistake. She's got two good rooks on open file. Black has one and is contesting it, but this rook on f8 is not so good. So you really don't want to trade off your two good white rooks for, one rook of black's is suffering a little bit. So it helps them. Definitely helps them. I really want to play knight d5. I really want to play this move. I don't really know what black should do in this very moment. Trying to find moves. But I'm honestly not sure what they should do. It's actually surprisingly difficult. We don't really have any moves for this bishop. The knight can't, it can go to h5, but it can't go anywhere after that. I don't know that that's so useful. Maybe knight h5, actually. Knight h5 with the idea of bishop here, although it's not even possible in this position. Oh, wait, what am I saying? We can just take it. No, you can't do this. I wanted to do this, get the knight out of the way to play bishop e5 and maybe exchange off these two bishops, but even if we just ignore it and say something like this, bishop here is not possible because we just, what's the order here? Probably we just take. Okay, maybe it's possible. You can't take this way because you lose a rook. So black can take here first. Something white's for choice here, especially since we still have this capture on the knight. Just destroys the pawns completely. We have the open file. Bad bishop. Pretty good knight, which we can actually jump into some nice squares here. F4 in particular, I like that for the knight. So yeah, this is not something black wants to do. Yeah, knight h5 is just impossible. The bishop on e2 is actually pretty well placed, preventing that. Yeah, so I don't know what you can do. The knight actually then in that case can't really move at all, because if you go to e8, you lose this rook. Yeah, big problem for black here. What do you do? What do you do? It's a tough situation. Kamryn's opponent's been up and about, walking around a lot, but he's back at the board, thinking hard. Classic chess player pose. Um, We got Grandmaster Alex Fishbein in the background. Good guy. I've played him twice. Bad losses for me. Yeah. Yeah, Black's thinking, I don't really know. It's hard to come up with ideas here for them, really. Don't want to push the C pawn. That creates weaknesses. Um, Perhaps G5. I guess you could play this move, but it really doesn't do anything. You're not threatening to play F4. You might be able to play G4, but I don't know. It's a bit risky. And in either case, I'm very tempted by this knight D5 move. It may very well be bad, but I like that it gives black a problem to solve. Because, well, obviously we're attacking the queen, we're also attacking the pawn. So they have to take. Probably with the knight makes sense. And we have a threat. There is bishop e5. That's an annoying move, but the computer is still apparently appreciating white's position more. In fact, the advantage is growing. Yeah, but this bishop e5 move seems to sort of nullify my ideas. Must be something good here, I guess. All right, what is it? Ah, we break through. Takes. Takes. That was more or less forced anyway. But then d6. Yeah, very logical move. This basically is going to create all sorts of weaknesses in black's position. They can take with a pawn, yes. But yeah, we have some choices. Queen c7, there's just weaknesses everywhere, including here. And also queen b3 is possible. Queen b3 is a check. We take on b6. So we get our pawn back, and then ultimately we're going to have a lot of pressure on this pawn here. Okay, so that means that knight d5 is definitely the idea. I'm not sure that black can play g5. But we're coming with knight d5 maybe no matter what. Like that's a serious move. Okay. For some reason, the computer, I know, it's changing its mind on me. See, I shouldn't even be glancing at it. It's giving me ideas that are just wrong. For a moment, it said take with the rook, and then take back with the rook. But that doesn't make any sense. Then it changed to what I said earlier. I was right. And it said take with the queen. And white's just better. We control the only open file. We have a beautiful bishop on h2. And everything's protected. There's no weaknesses in white's position. Yeah, it's just all good. And black has invested a lot of time on this move. It doesn't surprise me because, honestly, it's, on this move here after rook d1, doesn't surprise me because, did he make a move? He played king h8, okay. King h8. He didn't know what to do. Yeah. I will be right back in just 1 minute. And when I come back, we will have FIDE Master Nate Solon joining us in just a couple minutes. So I will be right back. Okay, and we have Nate. Let me just get him in here, and um, I'll need to mess with the view a little bit, but give me 1 second. Bear with me, please. Oh, I lost everything. Okay, hold on. Um, go back to where we were. Hi, Nate.
Hey Ian, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Give me one
Sorry.
second. I'm just gonna get our view switched so that you can, so that you're showing up here. They can hear
Okay,
you.
cool.
So you should be able to see everything in Zoom from your end.
Yep, okay, I can see the board.
Great. Yeah. I just need a minute to get things figured out on my end with the setup. But we have an interesting game so far. It was a London
Yep.
that
I
went
was gonna
into a yeah.
Kamryn, I think always plays the London, right?
She does. Yeah, yeah. That's her
My
go-to.
my first impression is I like it for white. I feel like whenever you can bait them into playing e4, and that London bishop kind of comes to life, that's usually good.
Yeah. Yeah, there was an interesting moment earlier. We'll have to back up a little bit and get your thoughts on it. But give me 1 second so that people can see you. Okay. Okay. So we are, just so you know, 15 minutes delayed from the chat.
Okay.
So, any questions they may ask him will be from whatever we talked about 15 minutes ago. So,
How do I see the chat?
um, it's not going to be in Zoom, but you could maybe open her stream in a separate channel,
Okay.
in a
Okay, got
separate
it.
window. Yeah, that's probably the way to do it. Okie dokie. We had a little bit of a scramble at the beginning getting set up because they just didn't have our game live right away. So
Uh-huh.
everything was a bit of a scramble. Um, so I didn't have a chance to get our view of us together set up. So just be ready in just one moment.
Yeah, no worries.
As you play rook takes, we take with the queen. Now we. Oh, yeah. And I need the board. Okay, I think we have you now.
Oh,
How is
okay, I can
that?
see myself.
Okay, good. Yeah,
I
then
guess that's a good sign.
yeah, that's a good sign. Yeah. Okay, great. We're good to go. Sorry for the delay, everybody, but hadn't had a chance to set that up ahead of time with all the craziness just getting going. So, yeah, welcome, Nate.
No, thanks for having me. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I wish I could be in Vegas, honestly. I'm kind of jealous. Like, I feel like everyone I know is there right now, but
yeah.
maybe this
Have you
is like
played there before?
no. Well, I mean, I used to play
You,
poker for a living, so I definitely
oh,
have
right, yeah.
been
Mhm.
to Vegas, but I have not played in this tournament.
That's what I meant. Yeah, had you played in
Yeah.
the tournament before? Yeah. Why don't I? Okay, we have a few more moves made. King H8, Knight D5 was a move that I was really hoping she was going to play at some point here. Um, this trade happened, and I'm feeling really good about White's position. This pawn is
Is
pretty
the
weak.
Yeah, knight d5, I mean, it's a committal move because you're changing the pawn structure, but it looks like a good move because that c7 pawn is extremely, extremely weak at this point.
Yeah, it's the I mean, it's like the one target that I've been pointing out this whole time as I've been looking at different variations. So it's finally pretty easy to gang up on it. Um,
Also, even a6 is under attack.
hmm.
This actually looks amazing for white. My cat is freaking out, sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, that's right. This is hanging right now, isn't it? Yeah. And oh yeah, if you move that, then you're just probably in a really big bind for forever,
Like,
or you just lose C7
well,
immediately.
queen takes c7 is a threat. d6
Yeah.
might also be a threat. It seems like
Yeah.
it's not even easy for black to continue the game, really.
Isn't this just? This looks really bad.
Was is a5 on the board? Was that played?
No, sorry.
Okay.
But I mean, I mean, you got two pawns hanging. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You're just gonna lose something.
Maybe knight e8, and I'll just give up
Get the d
a6,
pawn.
but I can play like bishop e5 and knight d6, and at least, I mean, I'm down a pawn for more or less nothing, but I'm still playing. The game's
Yeah,
kind of
you can
not
fight
over.
on. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Hmm. There was an interesting moment. I've had games go this way before. Black played a Dutch, but maybe I just back up quickly and just get your thoughts on the opening a little bit. Maybe we start. Oh yeah, so like it looked like it was going to be a Stonewall, and then they transposed into like a Leningrad Dutch. So that was sort of like a weird
Yeah, it's
move
it's
order thing.
odd that to play e6 and g6 together,
Yeah,
usually you would only do that if white did something drastic that forced you to change their setup. But looks like Kamryn was just like chilling and going for a London setup. So it's like it's an odd
yeah.
combination of moves for black.
Right, right. She wasn't doing anything particularly aggressive, and so why are we doing all these pawn moves? Yeah. But anyway, he played it pretty fast, the whole thing. He showed up 10 minutes late and then was even on time within just a few moves. So, um, yeah, Cameron just
The,
developed, which I thought was pretty natural.
the London, by the way, I think the London approach versus the Dutch is kind of underrated. It's like the London setup works pretty well against the Dutch.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's really not much you have to worry about. Like, there were a couple moments coming up where I was like, I don't even know what Black's supposed to do here. It's hard to even find moves. Um, yeah, but the one thing I kind of wanted her to do is play an earlier H3.
Yeah.
I was a little bit nervous about the bishop getting traded off
Well,
because I
probably
know
not.
that's important.
I mean, as long as you can play like bishop, not. I think here I'm not worried about it because you've got bishop e5 or bishop g5, but usually at the right moment when
Yeah.
black, yeah,
Hmm. Right. So anyway, it went bishop g7. Okay, now it went sort of back to normal moves, more or less. And then castles, okay. d6. So now it's really a Leningrad Dutch. Queen e7. There was one moment coming up that I wanted to get your opinion on in particular. h3 happened, e5, and I think I would have just dropped back with the bishop to
mhm.
h2, but Cameron took, and then even more strangely, Black took back with the knight. Maybe it's not strange, I don't know, but I just thought this was kind of weird. I
Yeah.
would
I
have
would. My
assumed they
first
wanted two
reaction,
pawns in the center.
yeah, my first reaction for white would be to not exchange those pawns, just to play bishop h2 and maintain the tension.
Hmm.
Um, which I think is what you said too, because
Yeah, just to go back.
then it's kind of hard for black to come any farther forward there because e4 just knight d2, that's fine, and
Stuck
then you're
with
going to
this.
play probably knight b5, like c5 at some point, probably open that diagonal. um
You get
so
that
black
same
is kind of,
problem. Yeah.
yeah, black kind of got as far as they could on the king side, but you're still extremely solid over there. They're not really attacking you.
Yeah. Yeah, I have had many games in similar positions to this, and I always feels very comfortable as white.
Yeah, I feel like getting black, I mean, I've had this type of thing more often against playing the London against a King's Indian type
Right.
setup than the
Yeah.
Dutch, but it can amount to like almost the same thing because usually they end up playing f5. Um and like, yeah, I think to get when black plays e4, that's often almost a positional trap because then your bishop becomes so powerful. Um like I had one game in this type of position years ago against Carissa Yip where my bishop on h2, like in this type of structure, my bishop on h2 was so strong. She just played her rook to b8. Like she played rook b8, allowing bishop takes b8.
Oh.
Not because she like missed it, but just because like giving up, like she wanted to give up a rook for that piece because
Wow.
there
Because
was nothing else to do.
the bishop was just so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
So, anyways, yeah, this to my understanding, this type of position is really good for white. But maybe probably black shouldn't play e4, but then if you're not going to play e4, you have to figure out something else to do.
Well, it was interesting because Kamryn took, okay, and I thought for sure Black would just take back with the pawn and be
Yeah.
pretty happy, but then they took with the knight. Okay, maybe now we just develop a rook or go back with our bishop perhaps, but and then she took. This all surprised me. I'm
Yeah,
surprised
no,
on like every move.
I'm on the same page with you. I think black should want those two unified center pawns, and then when he captures with the knight, giving you the chance to not allow that, yeah, I agree. I would play like, yeah, like something like rook fd1, just
Yeah,
not, yeah,
some like keep developing and then I mean sometimes Black wants to play e4 and just pawn storm the king side, but they don't even have that option anymore. So it feels like White can just play and not have to worry about anything in this position. To
yeah,
me,
I agree.
yeah,
I don't want to let that pawn. I mean, it's not that it's like a bad position even after knight takes e5, but
right,
I would rather keep that pawn back there on d6, I think. Just deny black some of that space in the center.
right, yeah, exactly. Okay, so then okay, maybe a mistake to let Black reestablish the two pawns, but okay, it is what it is. Um, this was a tough moment for Black because he thought for a while here. I think the issue is it's hard to develop this bishop. You can't play bishop d6 because of this. Um, and so he ended up playing b6. Very strange move. What Black should have done was c6 just to dominate the knight. Oops.
Mhm.
You
But
know,
then,
and
yeah,
then
at some point you still have to figure out how you want to get that bishop out.
yeah, yeah, right. I mean, that's the issue. He decided to play b6.
Hmm.
Sort of odd, but then Kamryn played a very nice move. I give her a lot of credit for this move. She played bishop f3.
Oh, so yeah, see, she's really provoking e4,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. She
which
just
is
wanted
very
e4
nice
to
because
happen. Yeah.
then black's bishop on b7 will be blocked too.
Yep.
I like
So,
it. I think
yeah, she played this move even at the cost of two tempos. I thought this was very instructive.
yeah, I think that's a smart move. I was even tempted to play knight d5 already here
Yeah.
as well.
Don't remember if I showed this line or not. And if takes, is there a problem with your pawn being weak?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I wanted to, of course, play rook c1 and start piling up on the c pawn, but yeah, I do have to defend. Rook a c1, bishop takes d5 looks fine for black, so I guess I
Yeah.
have to defend that. But so maybe knight d5 is like a little premature there. Um, Actually, I like the way Kamryn did it a lot. I think
Yeah.
bishop f investing two tempi to force e4 is like very unstereotyped thinking, but it makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's she thought for a long time here, and I could tell she was considering it. And yeah, if you can put aside the two tempos and just realize that it's how valuable it is to open up the bishop on h2, then yeah, you go for it. And she did. Um, yeah, and Black put the bishop on b7 anyway, but it's maybe misplaced there now because on top of it, it's blocked by this pawn on e4 now.
Probably now I would play bishop e6 because it no
Yeah,
longer hangs a pawn.
yeah. The
That
computer
might
wanted
be,
bishop to e6. That
yeah,
was the best move, but but it's hard psychologically to change your plans like that. You
yeah,
played b6 for a reason, and then to just go the other way seems
yeah.
kind of weird. So yeah, he went with his plan. And I guess now we can kind of get caught up. A6 maybe was slow because knight d5 is coming. Oh, she doubled. Yeah, she doubled on the d file. There was something a little bit better here, but now I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I'm still pretty tempted by knight d5.
Yeah, me too. Maybe that was the move. Maybe now she could play it. You know,
But
we
this is
have.
fine, as long as you're improving your pieces and chilling out, like
Mhm.
this is a good way to do it. You just wait and you play solid and you wait for your opportunity.
That was sort of my impression. Like you don't have to lunge in right away. Maybe you can just double your rooks, and it can't be bad, right? It has to be
Yeah.
just fine. Um, so yeah, that's what she did. And actually, she just owns the D file now. Black can't even take on D2 because you just go queen here. I was a little bit nervous that she might trade all the rooks, and then maybe things simplify a little bit too much, but she didn't do that. And actually, here I couldn't even come up with a good move for black. It was already really, really hard to see what they should do. Like, I just couldn't even. This is very challenging
Yeah, maybe
to
I
think of
I
how to
guess
improve their position.
I am again thinking this well, yeah, it's kind of hard to move because I kind of want to do this like knight e8 bishop e5 thing, but then
Mm. Hmm.
I can't just hang my rook on d8, but if I take on
Yeah.
d2, I'm conceding that d file.
Right.
Uh
Right. Like the bishop can't move. The knight can't really move. I can't move. I mean, maybe it could go to d7, but that seems super awkward. No, actually, it just hangs the c7 pawn.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
I guess you can play g5, but the thing is you're I still don't think you're threatening to even play f4, so does that actually do anything other than just weaken your own king side?
Yeah, these are all moves I was debating while I was solo. And I just couldn't find anything convincing for black.
I mean, maybe I'll play g5 and then h5 and then g4. I mean, even if I do all that,
Just go
it
h4.
still does nothing, but maybe just to
Yeah.
give you something to think about. I don't know.
Well, you play all of these moves, and I can
Yeah,
just play h4 maybe and
yeah,
bishop g3.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, the computer says take, but it seems just bad. If that's the best black has, I think they're already in big trouble.
Yeah, I think Black's position is unpleasant. Because these pawns are just overextended.
Yeah, it's a long time before it becomes a kingside attack, like a really long time. And
Wait, so is the position we're looking at now the one that's currently on the board?
no, we should catch up because there's been quite a
Okay.
few moves.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so it was king h8. Oh,
Okay. Black's
okay.
kind of just waiting.
And she jumped in with 95. This seems like good timing to play this move. Like
Yeah,
really
when
good
you've
timing.
right, so often like when you've improved the position to the maximum, maybe you could play like B3 and but I mean this looks very good.
Yeah, I agree. Um, and we actually were looking at the live position earlier before we started
Okay,
this
I see. So it's
with this
this.
position. Yeah. Black played 98. They gave up the a6 pawn. Did she take
Okay.
it? She did. Yeah, she snagged the pawn. This was your suggestion, I think, knight
Yeah,
98.
this is what I wanted to do as black just as
Yeah.
so I'm down a pawn for nothing, but at least like black can sort of like, you play bishop e5, knight d6.
Hmm. Start to get the pieces in.
Your remaining pieces maybe are not like so terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's worth a shot for black. Okay, rook a8 was played and then bishop c4, and this is the live position. Yeah, it's not a decisive advantage yet, I don't think.
It is,
But better
it,
for white, but not easy.
it is the kind of position where you can even as white, you can start to feel a little bit frustrated because it's like I was outplaying my opponent, I was dominating the game, I understood the position better, and all I got for it was this lousy pawn. Basically, it's like you're clearly better, but maybe
Yeah,
things were going so well that you felt like my opponent's about to collapse and this game's about to be over, and now you're thinking, okay, I'm clearly better, but the game is not over by any means.
right. Sorry, just getting you in the frame a little better.
All right, I'm like moving around everywhere like
That's
crazy.
okay. Yeah. Um. Hmm. I mean, I'd probably just play knight d6 almost automatically here. Maybe bishop e5. I mean, maybe you have to be worried about. I mean, white could maybe just trade at this point. Just trade everything and go for an endgame. How does this look? Ooh, doesn't like it. The bar doesn't
Yeah, I
like
feel
it.
like in certain positions that knight on d6 could be a lot better than the bishop,
Yeah.
and then I have black, I start to feel like I actually have a decent chance. Maybe not to win, but at least to maybe draw the game
I mean,
potentially.
something like this. You can't
Like I
actually
could,
really do this so
yeah,
easily.
I can maybe even go like rook a5, c5 and start pressuring some of these pawns, or maybe f4 at the right moment as well.
I was thinking b5 might just be almost like a fortress lockdown on the queen side.
Mhm. I don't
It makes it
love
really
putting.
hard to play c5.
I'm pretty happy with my stuff on dark squares, I think, but
Yeah, that's
maybe.
true. Yeah. I mean, if you thought c4 was an issue, maybe it's not. Probably it isn't. Yeah, b5 might be a little bit committal, I suppose.
Yeah, but I think if black can get to this endgame, I feel like this position is much better than what black had like 5 moves ago.
Yeah, that's true. I'm also seeing there might be like, in the future there might be some knight maneuvers coming in, something like this. At least there's ideas for black.
Yeah, and not easy for white to make progress.
Okay, so we don't really want to trade queens. We can maybe get away with trading bishops, but keep queens on the board. Hmm. Yeah, but black's queen feels nicely placed on e5, and what is white supposed to do here exactly? That's the
I mean,
challenge.
what I would love to do at some point is to create a passed a pawn, right? Like somehow if I can arrange like a4, b4, a5, that's a scenario where my bishop is helpful and that knight might look nice on d6, but it's not going to do a lot to stop me from making a queen over there. And I want to put my extra pawn to work somehow here.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm always trying to talk about when you have an advantage, you got to make use of it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like if you have an exchange or a lead in development or an extra pawn somewhere, you got to put that extra pawn to work. Otherwise, it's not gonna. You don't have an advantage if you're not using that pawn in some way. Yeah. Okay. Um, that seems kind of doable, actually. We could just play a4 immediately, almost, can't
Yeah,
you?
maybe start with a4. Then you can even play bishop f1. Often like f1 is kind of a nice square for that bishop, right? Once you've castled,
Yeah, it
just make
protects.
everything very tidy, and then
Protects. Hmm.
possibly threatening c7, but also thinking about like b4, uh, a5 eventually. Probably
This
you want
feels
to,
like, yeah,
yeah,
this feels very harmonious to me. Like pretty straightforward idea. Yeah, I like it.
might want to maneuver those, you know, at some point those rooks can probably be redeployed somewhere. Like, I don't think we need both rooks on the d file anymore.
Yeah, I think I want to get. Uh, yeah, b4, and we can't really quite go rook a1. That's a little bit annoying, but we could probably get a rook to a2.
Yeah. And
Maybe the other rook to c1.
black has to do something about c7.
Right. That's pretty annoying, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pretty
I mean you can
annoying.
play like rook a7 or whatever, but
Yeah, and actually, maybe we have to be a little careful. We can't play b4 here, I don't think, because
yeah,
of rook a.
but maybe I can just play b3 and just really stabilize the position.
Take your time, yeah.
Yeah, and then just, make sure all my pieces are perfectly placed before I do anything.
Yeah, I wonder if at some point there's some potential counterplay with like an f4
Yeah.
move. That's the
Yeah,
one
I think
thing I'd be
this
a little worried about.
from a practical perspective, that's probably what black should try because you don't want to just wait and just lose on the queen side. So
Yeah.
probably you want to try to do something on the king side at some point.
Yeah, and let's see what I'm not even sure how white should respond because taking you can do it, but then there's going to be like an e3 move coming, and they're really starting to open up your king. Um, and if you don't take, well, then they can maybe take and create a weakness here, or maybe f3 is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Actually, f3 might be okay now that I think about it a little more. I don't know what white does, but I don't know, some rook move. F3, maybe we just play here. Actually, that might be quite safe for white.
Yeah, this looks pretty solid.
Yeah.
Um,
Looks kind of dangerous with that pawn in F3, but how can
mm,
any pieces ever get into the king? I don't see it.
yeah, I don't think black should lock the pawns like this. Maybe taking on E3 and then like knight F5
Yeah, there's some
is more
things
of
to
an.
worry about here. Even just a little bit of pressure on the e pawn is
Although
annoying
I
to deal
guess
with.
I guess in this exact move order, probably queen C3, force a queen trade. So maybe black shouldn't allow this quite in this way, but
Maybe
something
they
like
should move their king back to g8 first,
yeah.
something like this.
Even
Yeah.
thinking about well, I'm not sure what the position is now, but even for like maybe white at the right moment, if that knight moves, white can play D6 and just sacrifice that pawn, activate the bishop. What black's king can start to be vulnerable on that long diagonal as well in some scenarios.
You mean if it goes to g8 or
Or on H8, just
if the queen moves away?
feel like maybe D6 should be an idea for white to activate all the pieces and sort of
Hmm.
disrupt black. But obviously when you're up a pawn, you don't want to give it away like without knowing
Yeah, you want to
exactly
be
what you're
sure,
doing.
right? You got to be sure that it's worthwhile. Yeah. Yeah, this could honestly, if we reach a position like this, I feel like it could go either way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like once black's, once your opponent starts
Something
attacking
just
your
like this.
king, that extra pawn may not be worth a lot.
Yeah, and we haven't made much progress towards getting a5 in. Hmm. I think we have a move. I think Kamryn played bishop back to b3, and then okay, rook a5. That's interesting. And there's no way he's going to win d5, but maybe he just wants to bring the rook over to c5. That's actually maybe not a terrible idea.
Yeah, I don't my first reaction is I don't love bishop b3 just because, the bishop is just looking at our own pawn on d5.
Yeah. Hmm. What were we saying before? Instead of bishop to b3, we want it to go.
Well, I think the
Did
line
we
we
have a
were
move?
looking at,
Oh,
I
we
think
looked
we
at
might have
bishop
had black
e5.
playing bishop e5 first, so it was a different
Yeah. Yeah.
thing.
Okay, I see. So we didn't really look at this yet.
Yeah.
Because
Although I
I
think,
would still like
yeah,
to go to f1, but we lose a2. So,
right. I don't think knight takes c4 is not something I'm worried about.
yeah.
Like same colored bishop, so something
Hmm.
that's really important like this is the same colored bishops is extremely, extremely different than opposite colored bishops.
Yeah.
So if knight takes c4, both bishops are dark squared. That
Let's just,
that
maybe I'll just put a move on the board here. Like, let's just say a4 and takes.
Yeah, and this would be great for white because now you broke that blockade. You're pressuring c7. You have d6.
Yeah.
This would be fantastic. So you don't
Yeah, and
actually
then
need
I,
to. Yeah,
sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to
I was
cut
just
you
gonna
off.
say you don't. So white didn't need to move that bishop on c4.
Yeah.
But you still do have to come up with a useful move.
We also saw in that other position how when black played f4 and took, that knight was starting to become a potential attacker to help attack white's king. And to trade it off for this bishop that's a little bit stuck behind the pawns probably doesn't really make much sense unless there's like a specific tactic where you're going to win something. Yeah. Okay, so maybe bishop to b3 was a little bit overreaction. I think you also have to be careful. Like people just assume sometimes they overvalue the bishop pair. Like I got to keep the bishop pair no matter what. I don't know if that's what's going on here. Bishop b3 kind of makes sense just to kind of guard everything. You feel like you don't have to worry about anything black can do. But yeah, maybe it was just better to play a4 or some other move and just maybe hope black wants to take the bishop.
Yeah, I doubt black would have done that, but I guess at
Yeah.
least you give yourself the chance. You're in Vegas, you can kind of, semi bluff, get that equity.
That's right. So rook a5, rook c1 has been played. Yeah.
Rook c1 I like because rook c5 you can just play queen d1 and
Yeah.
the rook trade is fine and then even shuffle the other rook to c2 and actually start lining up on the c7 pawn.
Yeah, I like this move too. I guess that's the good thing about bishop to b3 is you can now you can shift your rooks to the c file and not have to worry about that d5 pawn really at all. Like there's no way black's going to win that pawn. It's almost never in danger. So we can just pile up on the c7 pawn with our rooks. Yeah, it seems like a good plan to me. How do you react to bishop e5? That feels like the move for black here.
Well, but aren't we're threatening to just take on c7 now, right? Or is there some sort of rook c8 thing?
Yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah,
Although
maybe
it's
it's
actually
a little
it's
tricky.
possibly not so simple because there's some.
Rook here? But
Well,
no,
so
not now. I can't.
bishop takes h2 check,
Yeah, take.
queen e5 check, right?
Ah, yes, I see.
And then
Probably you don't want to go back. That would be a blunder, perhaps. Oh,
you know what I'm thinking? Maybe let's say g3,
yep.
rook c8. Maybe we just take on c8, take twice, d6, and that. I mean, can black stop that pawn?
Yeah.
Like our pieces are supporting that pretty well. Our king is safe.
No, we
There's only
we
two
we
moves until
control the
that.
queening square. I
Yeah,
mean, I
we
don't. What
control
is
everything.
no checks? Yeah. Uh huh. Yeah, that's probably a similar response to maybe we could even maybe we could have actually played King G1. Same thing could happen. Just take it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it would be the same
it's
thing.
a very
I don't see
clever.
how black can stop that pawn.
Yeah, this bishop becomes very good on b3 all of a sudden, and it stops any
Yeah,
rook d5.
it all worked out.
Yeah. For a second, I was like, oh, maybe we get a checkmate, but not quite. Of course, the king can run, but yeah, it's amazing. We got this passed pawn all of a sudden is very powerful. Okay, so we can't give up c7. Yeah, that's maybe too much. Huh. Yeah, that's actually a very nice point because I think as white, I really the longer I can put off bishop e5, the better. So
So
then
I
I
guess
guess
black probably just has to play like rook a7 or rook f7, but
well, it just came from a7 to go back.
I know it's a sad situation, right?
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't on a7 yet. I think we had looked
It
at
was
putting it on
a8,
a7.
but
Yeah, it was a.
still.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry. Rook c5 has been played, and then queen d1. Okay. This felt likely to happen, but now we're threatening to take on c5. So I feel like black might need to trade rooks.
Yeah, I feel this is something I noticed happens a lot is someone does something sort of superficially active, but maybe it kind of makes their position like black is charging forward with this rook, but I think the end result of this is going to be a rook trade that white is going to be pretty happy with.
Yeah. Well, this is black's most active piece at the moment, and sure enough, takes. So okay, we're Kamryn hopefully moved pretty quickly. Yeah, she took. By the way, Cameron's been sitting there for the entire game so far. I don't know about you, but I'm up and walking around pretty
Oh
regularly.
yeah. I know.
I can't really sit there for the whole time. I don't know.
Yeah, I just decided, I kind of play chess for fun. I'm like a chess tourist now, so I don't know if
Yeah.
it's technically better to try to sit there the whole time, but I like to just relax and walk around on my opponent's move a lot of the time. I think chess in general is too slow too. It's like they give you more time than you need. So when it's not my move, let me relax a little bit.
Yeah. I like to go glance at other people's games that I know. Sometimes I have some students and I just go see how they're doing.
Everyone else's games feel so easy. It's like I know exactly what to do in everyone's position except for mine.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So what do you do for black now? Because I mean, rook c2 looks like it's coming next, and I'm scared for the life of that c7 pawn for black. I mean, rooting for Kamryn, obviously, but I mean, for Black, I mean, this is a big problem.
Yeah. What are the ratings in this game? I feel like so far
Um,
Cameron is just dominating this game, really.
yeah, I can tell you, her opponent Mike is like 1660 or so, and I think Cameron's current USCF rating is like 1500, 1512, something like that.
That's interesting though, because isn't her chess.com rapid is up there over 2000, right?
Yeah, it's a big difference.
And I think doesn't chess.com rapid tends to run like pretty close to USCF, right?
I don't know. Could be.
I think
Yeah,
it
could
I
be.
think it does. So I don't know. I think she's definitely played more online than live, so could be her live rating has not caught up yet, or she's just developing that comfort level of sitting at the board. But
Could be. Yeah, I know she's played a fair number of over the board events that are like more local, but I think this is like one of the bigger events, one of the biggest events she's done so far. Actually, it's for sure the biggest one that she's done so far, but um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the way she's been out playing Black, you would have thought that she was the higher rated player by
exactly, that's
111
what I'm saying.
points.
It's like if you just showed me this game so far with no names or ratings attached, I'd say like, okay, well, White is a much stronger player. White is really controlling this game pretty effortlessly.
I mean, honestly, the moment where she played Bishop F3 to provoke E4 and then went back, losing the tempos on purpose, like a lot of people are just so scared of losing tempos that they just wouldn't even have considered it.
Yeah, I like a move that like when someone has a very clear take on the position, like a strong opinion. So I think that was a good move.
Yeah, at the at the beginning of the stream, they hadn't hooked up the DGT board yet they weren't broadcasting it quite yet. So I had to the first few moves I was doing just from what I could see on the board, and it was, as you can see, very
Yeah,
tiny, very hard
kind
to
of hard to pick
follow.
out.
But I think I did a good job. I actually was following along for a while, but I'm glad that we got the actual broadcast going.
Is the board behind streaming as well, or that's just a
It
board?
seems like it. It seems like they have a number of games that so on the broadcasting page it's like all the grandmaster games, all the open games, and then like a handful of other games that just have names and no ratings or anything like that, no titles. So yeah, I think there are some various streamers also next to her probably, and yeah, it seemed like there was maybe four or five other games being broadcast. So
Seems like more and more tournaments are doing this, like, really actively welcoming streamers and setting up the live stream, using that, like promoting that.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. I don't know how I would feel if my game was being videotaped in front of me, but right in
I
live
had,
like that.
like,
But
I played at this tournament in Nebraska last weekend, and someone did have like a video thing that they were streaming it to YouTube. I don't know if
hmm.
anyone was watching it, but
Yeah, it's interesting. Um, it's a lot of work to get it up and going. So kudos
yeah.
to the organizers for being willing to set it up, and they provided the DGT board and the location, and yeah, I know that
Wait, do
Kamryn
we
was
do we
talking to
have
them for
some
a long
moves
time to
here?
get
Because
it
it
set up.
looks like
Ah, sorry, yeah, there was one more move. Two more moves: Rook C8 and Queen C6. Yeah, my board doesn't update automatically, so wait a minute, but Rook C8, something. Maybe there's something better than Queen C6 because the bar is kind of going crazy here.
hmm, my first reaction would be Rook C2, just because I think Yasser Seirawan calls that going feet first instead of head first. You send in
Yeah,
the Rook
makes
first, and
sense.
that's
Yeah.
often the way to, the Queen's the most valuable, so you don't want to, right? You keep her safe until the right moment. So
Well,
uh
yeah. I mean, the other thing is if you put the queen in and you double with the rook, like this queen can still move away and do something. But if you go
Yeah.
rook in first, like you said, you're always threatening to take this. But yeah,
Yes. Uh,
maybe just
I
rook
would maybe
c2.
lean towards rook c2, but I mean, white is clearly in fantastic shape either way because you've got the extra pawn in your back pocket, and if black is going like purely passive with a move like rook c8, like I don't think black is going to save this game just by waiting.
It's a bad sign, at the very least. There's also some tactics coming up potentially with like rook c2. If we got two moves in a row, we would just take this knight.
Yeah, the pin on the c file.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, black's going to need to play bishop to e5 at some point, and I don't know if they're going to be able to get away with it or not. Maybe now, before it's too late. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very hard to even come up with another move, actually, than bishop
I think
e5.
bishop e5 is what he needs to try because then on a really good day, you create some sort of blockade on the dark squares. White's light square bishop is not great. That seems to be the only
Something
thing you
like
can
this.
try, really.
Yeah, if our rook was on c2, I'd be pretty happy, I think, to play queen d7. Maybe I'd play it anyway, but so like if we had the same position, but maybe with like the king on g8, say something like this.
Yeah, then
Threatening
you
rook takes.
start infiltrating.
Yeah, this feels like it would be pretty good. Maybe even queen to e6 is an idea, just to get a pass pawn there. But I really just want to take c7.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that
Yeah,
would be a direct threat.
yeah,
That can't move that knight.
yeah. And by the way, there's some serious tricks here, like queen g7. This is kind of nice. Just take the knight,
Yeah. And then the skewer.
pick up the queen. Yeah, this is going to be a tough defensive task for black. Like all of these positions have lots of little tricks like this.
And Cameron's built up a nice lead on the clock as well. So
Yeah, there's no let's see, what's the time control? There's no well, bishop e5 was played. I think it's 90 minutes with a 30-second increment, I believe. Well, I can double check that now. Um, but I'm pretty sure that's the time control. So neither one of them are really too much trouble on
mhm.
the clock at least, but
Yeah, I mean black's main problem is on the board, really, but
yeah, yeah. But it's anyway, it's nice to have the extra 15 minutes, just feel more confident in control.
yeah, so it looks like just trade on e5, play rook c2, threatening queen d7.
I mean, I guess you could play rook c2 right now, maybe.
Yeah.
Even bishop f4. I don't know why you would really need to do that, but bishop
And
f4
that
might be a
seems like a very
possibility.
deep move. Probably wouldn't know, like bishop takes e4, e takes f4, e3 is well then even then you have
Ah,
queen e3 check. So even this is
right.
fine, but one of the principles when you're ahead is keep it simple, right? So
Yeah.
probably the kind of thing you don't want to do.
No reason to go into this. Yeah. Totally unnecessary. Yeah. Um.
If you want to talk about going too far to keep the bishop pair, g3 would be huh.
uh, yeah.
I
Just
think
block
even,
it in.
even the biggest like bishop pair fan, I think, is not playing that move.
Yeah. I mean, when we think ahead to some endgames, the only endgame white really needs to be trying to avoid, I suppose, would be an opposite color bishop. Like we're happy with either bishop versus the knight. We're happy with same color bishops. Just don't want to trade knight for this bishop. So
Yeah, I mean, I
no,
think black is going to be able to engineer like that knight on d6 versus the light squared bishop is kind of a good minor piece scenario, I think, but
Mhm.
white just has white still has the extra pawn, and
Yeah.
I don't think
Well,
that alone is going to save black.
with the bishop on b3, I think that's definitely true. I could see it maneuvering to c6,
Yeah.
although now the queen's in the way, but it could happen, and then the whole a4 a5 promote idea. And the bishop would be rock solid on c6.
Yeah.
But that's a long way off. I think you just have to take the bishop. That's just the
Yeah,
simplest thing to do.
why not?
Take rook
You
c2,
can't
and
you
then
can't avoid the exchange anyway, so
yeah. But she's thinking about something. Hmm.
yeah, I think I would start with bishop takes e5 check, and then rook c2, or even queen d7 immediately. Maybe you should take the opportunity to get the queen just inside of black's position.
Before maybe the queen drops back. Yeah. I don't know. That'd be a hard move for me to play. It's black to it got my queen to e5. It looks so good there, and then to drop it back. But yeah, it makes sense. Um, do I have time to trade queens? I might need to.
Yeah, maybe I guess this is the sort of thing you need to think about before playing queen d7 is
It's
do you
true.
actually want that queen trade? Because you give black the chance to force that.
It's a little bit hard to tell. I don't know. Maybe it takes with the rook or the knight. Yeah, rook. Okay, fine. We do get something like this, but I suspect we can do this plan now.
Yeah, bishop a4 might force b5, but then that's kind of another weakness.
Right, just another another one of those tempo loss moves that just provokes a weakness or some sort of change in the pawn structure. Yeah. I mean, now there's plans like rook c5, bishop d1, bishop e2, and come around and get it this way.
And I kind of want to put my king on d4 and just take
Yeah,
total domination over the center, you know?
yeah, yeah. I don't see why not. It's difficult for black to really do anything. I mean, they want to leave the knight here, but they're also stuck guarding this. They could bring their king,
Yeah, I
but
guess
their king can't
yeah,
come to the
maybe black's
center.
king is can also try to walk out to e5.
Yeah, that actually could be kind of annoying.
That's black's hope, right? Is to do something on the dark squares, right? That
Something like this. I'd like to bring the king, but I feel like this is just pretty fast. Maybe try it. Because you're not really ever threatening to win d5. Maybe rook d7 and there's enough counterplay. Eh,
yeah,
it's
even
actually
this looks good
kind of
for
hard to
black.
tell. You know what move there is here? Maybe it's kind of a weird move, but maybe there's b4. How do you actually get this pawn?
Yeah. Maybe just a4 and say, okay, fine, trade that, but I still have a passed a pawn.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I do be a little bit nervous playing without like playing sort of down a piece in the endgame without my king. I mean, it might still be good, but
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah, that's the big problem here is that we're sort of tied to this pawn because of the king and the knight and the rook, or at least the knight is free to move somewhere. That's funny. I would have thought advantage for white still, but now it's saying it's just even. Hmm. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, the other alternative is not to rush anything and just bring our king in as well.
yeah, but of
We
course
don't we don't have to play this
we
bishop
didn't
a4
even
move
have to
either.
allow this queen trade.
Yeah, we went pretty far down the line, didn't we? Yeah, if we don't allow the queen trade, if we hold off on that, then it makes it's much harder for black to bring their king in. With the queen still on the board, it carries some risk to it, I suppose. So, you know, I think our king can start to march. We can play rook c2, tie him down a little bit first, and then maybe we actually just play a4. Maybe we actually just do this whole plan now with the queen on c6, actually. Because we do guard the queening square after all. Do we have any more moves? Oh, we do. So we should probably catch up. All right. So takes. We expected this. Takes queen c3. Uh-oh. I don't like that move.
Yeah, this is the first move Kamryn's played this game that I really don't like.
Yeah, and she played it rather quickly.
Well, I guess that's why she was thinking before Bishop
Yeah.
spent some time before Bishop takes h5 because that response was forced, so she was playing her next move, which is from a time management perspective, that is good technique, but
Yeah.
I don't uh I don't like this queen c3 move because after takes, black puts the rook on the a file, the king comes to e5. I'm not feeling so great about how we're gonna win from this position.
Yeah, because there's no, we don't have a pawn majority on the queen side. We can't
Yeah.
use our 2 versus 1 to break through, right? So
Yeah,
once,
and the open C file was really useful to pressure C7, but now that's blocked.
yeah, it takes away a lot of ideas. I mean, on the other hand, we can get a pawn to c4 and guard this, which frees our bishop, but it's not really worth it, I don't think. But the really strange thing is that black just played knight f7.
Huh.
Now I wonder, he's giving Kamryn a chance to change her mind about the queen trade.
Well, but also not changing the pawn structure by forcing B takes C3, which
Yeah,
is
so
actually
maybe, do we want a queen trade that doesn't change? Maybe this is, well, this probably is a much better version of a queen trade for us. And
well,
then,
and now you can play D6 if you want to.
yeah, d6 or maybe even just rook c2. But yeah, d6 was the first move I was thinking of as well. Opens up our bishop. And if they trade, then b6 is a problem. And yeah. Oh, I like this.
Yeah, because now your bishop is alive and you have a pawn majority that you can actually use to make a pass pawn in the long run.
It might get a little messy though if rook c1. We have some weak pawns of our own potentially. Knight d3 stuff. Maybe knight
Yeah,
d3 first.
yeah. So
Knight
maybe
d3 first.
um
Yeah.
D6 might be a little bit too hasty, but
Yeah, I wouldn't feel super confident in that position.
I was also wondering, is there even before queen takes e5, uh can you play d6 immediately here? Does that do anything?
Ooh.
Probably not. No, I think just queen takes c3.
Yeah. That was tricky. Except for this
Yeah.
move. Yeah, I guess this kind of spoils it, doesn't it? Yeah. I see what you were what
And
you
just
wanted
knight.
to do.
Well, my
Yeah.
initial idea was queen takes c3, d7.
Yeah.
But this is way too stupid. Black can play like queen c1 check, for example.
And
Uh,
after this,
well, I
take.
mean, if nothing else, just take and rook d8. So
Yeah.
this is way too silly, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But actually, maybe we can just play rook c2.
Yeah, this also looks good.
Because now, if the queen trade happens on c3, we can take with the rook. We don't damage our pawns. And then what was this knight f7 move for? It seems like kind of useless. I mean, maybe it can come to e5, but they still have a big problem. And then maybe they can't even play knight e5, actually. Maybe then there's d6. Oh, Having a little lag with my mouse. Sorry. 95. I was thinking we can go here, but I don't know if it's.
E6, C5. I'm not so sure about because you got to make sure you're not losing that D pawn.
Yeah, that's a little bit problematic actually if we lose that. I didn't. I forgot that we can't get our rook behind it. That's an issue. Okay. Well, knight f7 was played. She did play rook c2. Looks like she played rook c2. They're playing sort of like a game of chicken. Like who's gonna
Yeah.
who's gonna trade queens first? They each want to do it on their own terms, I suppose. Hmm. Wait, oh, and black took on c3. Okay, she's thinking, oh man, I really hope she doesn't take with the c pawn.
Yeah, it
The
seems like
nice. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just given that she played Queen C3 before, and now she's thinking it seems like she kind of wants to move this B pawn to the C file, but I'm not sure why really. It doesn't look good. I mean, I guess then if you can manage to get C4, C5 end,
Yeah, that's the one thing. If you could play
it,
this and this, then maybe you're
it's
okay.
kind of okay, but it sort of just gets you back where you started at best.
I also don't think she can get it in because there's this and then knight d3.
Yeah, this looks like I mean this bishop on B3 is looking so bad now. I don't think you want to get into this type of thing.
Yeah, there's rook a8. The rook is free to move now. The knight can come to c5 and blockade everything. The bishop has no moves. Oh, she played rook takes c3. Look at that. She changed. Maybe she realized the error of her ways from before and realized, okay, it's actually better not to take with the pawn. She could have taken almost automatically, thinking that it was a better version of the line she was calculating before with the
Yeah.
pawn on c3. But okay, I give her some props for that decision. Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, this endgame is not automatic though. Like
No,
white has a very healthy extra pawn, but the dark squares are kind of blockaded. It's not over by any means.
yeah, especially if Black's king gets over to like d7 or d6 or something like that, where it can guard the pawn and free the rook, then you have to find a way to make progress. Hmm. I still would really like to get the bishop into c6,
Yeah.
but the problem
Yeah,
is,
bishop
well,
c6 and then the a pawn rolling. That does look very nice if you can arrange that.
the problem is anytime you play bishop a4, there's going to be rook a8. Well, actually, no. Is that true? Maybe. Well, I have a clever idea, I think. The whole problem is knight d6 here is this b5 move again. So if the knight goes to d6, we can't do that. Let's say the knight goes to e5. Well, that actually also kind of ruins it. Because the knight might just trade for the bishop, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe we just play king f1, e2, and then sort of decide what to do. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. There's no rush. Well, if we get the king to e2 and this knight's on e5, we can dislodge it with a move like f4. Take away that center spot for the knight. Hmm. Okay, knight d6 was played. Sorry, rook takes c3, knight d6. Why is it doing that? I thought this was a little bit of an inferior spot for the knight just because it can't really go anywhere. Like I thought maybe it might be nice to put it on d3 at some point, but and it guards the light squares like c6 and hmm.
I do think bishop a4 is still kind of interesting because I'll play bishop c6 if allowed, but if b5, maybe just bishop d1, and say black was forced to put another pawn on a light square, and then maybe bishop
Right.
e2,
We can
start.
actually aim at them instead of our own
Yeah.
pawn. Yeah. I feel like you want to have a3 in. Maybe you start with a3 before bishop a4. It also
Yeah.
deals with any rook
Yeah,
a8
maybe.
ideas. Yeah. Yeah. Suddenly it's turned into like a very positional maneuvering endgame.
Yeah, this is still a struggle.
Yeah. Can't quite it's not white's not quite coordinated as nicely as I would like them to be.
This light square bishop is just really not doing that much at the moment.
Yeah, and before you know it, black's king is going to be right there in the center.
Yeah. If black gets the king to e5, then it's real. I don't know if white has any advantage at that point, and yeah. So you have to be a little bit careful here.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Cameron's time advantage might disappear here as well, just because black's plan seems pretty obvious. Like bring the king.
Yeah.
What is white supposed to do here? You need to find some tricky moves. She played bishop a4. Okay, that's what we were looking at. I mean, if the bishop lands on c6, I think that's an improvement for sure.
Again, psychologically, it can be a turning point because you're like, I was winning the whole game. I was outplaying my opponent every step of the way, and then somehow this endgame is not that good, and you get
Yeah, you can
frustrated.
get frustrated. You can even overpress sometimes, or try something risky, trying for like a quicker, easier win. Um, what exactly happens after rook a8? We should probably look at this. I mean, I guess we can always go back to b3, but we're not really making progress.
Um,
You know what? Can we? No. Can we take this? It's crazy. Okay, it's crazy.
yeah,
I wanted to get this pawn rolling pretty quickly, and
but
maybe it's
probably
not.
at best you trade the pawn for the knight, I guess. Although that knight does have to decide where to move.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. Okay, maybe f7,
Yeah.
and I suppose you can always just give it back, right? At the worst case scenario, something like this.
Yeah,
Although
or
this
probably
is,
wait to give it back on DA. But
yeah,
you know what?
yeah, just take care. All right, I
Yeah.
was trying to make that pawn dangerous with some tempos on the king on the back rank, and
Well, how
black's
about
rook is all
instead
over the
of doing
place.
that though, maybe the better way to do that idea is you play bishop d7, and if black takes on e2, then you take on c7, and you've
Out of
got,
the way.
black is getting both of our queenside pawns, but now that d pawn is going to become very dangerous.
Yeah, yeah, the bar approves. Do you use the computer a lot when analyzing with your students?
Um, no, generally, like I try to, if I'm analyzing a student game, in general, I'll do the whole game with the computer off, and then I might check it at the end of the game. But I try, at least on that first pass, I try to have like a human approach.
Yeah, I'm sort of similar. I usually keep it off, but then if I get stuck on a moment, I don't want a little clarity. If there's like super complicated, I just want to see if I'm on the right track. I might turn it on for a second and then turn it back off again. But
I think it kind of depends on the level too. Like if the student is
yeah,
like under, let's say 1600, I would like pretty much always have it off. But like
yeah, that's
if they're
true.
like 2200 or 2300 or something, then there are spots where it can be useful, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so this line looks promising, but we have some moves. Bishop a4, b5. It's one of the moves we were expecting, and then bishop d1. Look at this.
Yeah. Yeah, she's doing these provocative bishop maneuvers. First bishop
Yeah.
f3 and bishop a4.
Provoked this, provoked this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very thematic.
Yeah, I mean, black can't take these pawn moves back, obviously, and but white can spend however much time she wants just to get this bishop to a better square. She can always undo that. So yeah, these pawns, the C and B pawns getting separated a little bit is just creating one more weakness that black has to keep an eye on. I think this is a very clever way to go. Yeah. It's impressive, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just to be a little bit careful about the king getting to here and this pawn being vulnerable, but I think a rook on c5 is going to protect it just fine.
I'm just looking at the time. I should probably jump off because I have kids at both ends. I have to do the bedtime and then wake up for the other
Uh,
kid. Um,
that's fine, Nate.
but yeah.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure commentating with you.
No, thank you. I've also got you're a dad too, right?
Yeah, mine are a little bit older than yours, I think. I have a
Okay.
5 and a 7-year old, so they've been
Okay. See,
asleep for a while.
I think you still qualify. I'm organizing a sleep deprived parents bullet championship.
Sounds good. I'm in.
So so if you feel it, if your sleep quality is even slightly affected, you can qualify for the tournament.
The problem is now mine go to bed at a pretty reasonable hour, like 7:30 or 8. They're usually asleep by then. Um, but then like we want some time to ourselves, so we're up late, and then they wake up early at like
Yeah,
5:30.
that's
you
that's
know?
always the challenge, right? Is it's so tempting when you finally have that time to yourself, play some speed chess or like watch TV or whatever it is, and then
Yeah.
yeah, then you're back in it.
All right. Well, thank you, Nate, for your insights. That was it was nice to be able to bounce some ideas off somebody. So I appreciate it. And yeah, you'll be back tomorrow night, I believe.
Yep.
Great.
So awesome. Yeah, great to talk with you.
Yeah.
Looks like there's still some play, but I think Cameron's in a good spot, so hopefully
Yeah.
she'll
Hopefully,
pull this one out.
if she maintains this level of play, I think she's gonna win the game for sure. But
Yeah.
we'll see. All right.
All
Thanks,
right.
Nate. Have a
See
good
ya.
night. Bye. Okay. Well, there you have it, everybody. Nate said she's gonna win. We have King G7, so the king begins to march to the center of the board. Um, I would expect Bishop E2 and Rook C5. Not much to be done about the king coming to E5. Anyway, but the Rook will do a really nice job on C5, attacking everything and defending at the same time. And it's hard to get rid of it. Black's pieces will be pretty paralyzed. So let's say Bishop E2, king here. Rook C5 right away. Actually, maybe you can't even play this because can't we just take this pawn? Maybe it gets kind of tricky with moves like knight b7, not automatically just taking this bishop, but knight b7. Yeah, we can't get too tricky as black because now the rook can just drop back. I don't know what's the best square, but let's just say all the way. King takes d5 would be a blunder because we have bishop c6. So that pawn on d5 seems pretty untouchable. And let's see, we have king g7. Has Kamryn moved yet? No. So we're waiting for Kamryn to move. Feels pretty straightforward. I expect she'll move pretty quickly because at the very least to try to maintain her time edge would be nice. It doesn't seem like a super critical moment. But bishop e2 is important in realizing that the pawn is safe. Okay, a3, I think that should be okay. Actually, I like this move a lot because now it'll be hard for black to play b4 and try to get the pawn out of the way of this bishop. Yeah, that's a nice little prophylactic move. Very good. The only thing is that there might come a time where black could even think about giving away the pawn just to damage white's pawns and try to recoup it with like a rook b8 move. Can't do it now, obviously, because there would be rook takes c7 with jack. But with the king on e5, that becomes a possibility. So we'll have to keep an eye open for that. Black moved very quickly with king f6. Okay. Yeah, this one is going to be a little bit of a grind because even though white's up a pawn, black will start using their king. It's like using an extra piece in the endgame. It's not so easy for Kamryn to get her king involved. So for now, she has to rely on her better piece placement and the fact that she only has one weakness on d5 and black has two. But I could definitely see bishop e2, rook c5 combination, and then the king just making a march over here. She could have time for something like this very easily. What I worry about is, again, something like this, and maybe b4, maybe. It might be that the timing is not right for black. They don't have to play this move right away, I don't think, but yeah, there's definitely some merit to this. Abandon the c7 pawn and go for a counterplay, something along these lines. We can sort of munch a bunch of pawns, but there's a tempo here. This pawn is hanging. It's 4 versus 3, but pretty difficult to win it. And black has solved a lot of their problems. There aren't a lot of easy targets for white to go after anymore. Something like this worries me. I think it would be difficult to win. Let's see. But you know, the computer seemed to like some other move in this position, and I don't know what it is. I really don't. So it's time to cheat. Rook c5 first. It just... that's weird. Yeah. Rook c5 first, then king e5, and then bishop e2. So it does like this. Oh, it just didn't like bishop to e2 first for some reason. Why didn't it like bishop e2 first? Is there some other move for black? No, king e5. Just transposes. Okay, I shouldn't even have turned it on. I shouldn't even have turned it on. It just said everything I wanted it to do. Don't trust the bar, people. At least give it a little bit of time to think. We have king f6 on the board. We're waiting for Kamryn to decide what she wants to do. Not super simple. I mean, there's a couple of moves that stand out right now, but after that, things could get kind of messy. It can turn into a race. I don't really see any alternatives. I mean, we don't really want to play b4. Okay, she's played rook c5. Good. Yeah, rook c5. That was the best move. That was the best move. Yeah, very nice. And if I'm black, I probably just play king e5 pretty quickly here. That seems like a very natural move, and maybe you gain a little bit of time on the clock because Kamryn's been spending a few minutes per move. He's been moving very quickly. This is sort of what I mentioned earlier that I was worried about for white is that it's a lot easier for black just to play, march their king to the center of the board. There's not much else to do anyway. But for white, it's a little bit frustrating that you're not making more progress. She has made progress though, slowly but surely. There's this weak pawn here. Um, this bishop's about to become an attacking piece instead of a defender. But this pawn is now a little bit more vulnerable than it was before. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. I know it's late for many of you. It's very late for me. It's past midnight. I'm not used to being up this late. So forgive me for any terrible calculation errors. But so far, there's not a lot of tactics. It's mostly just trying to reposition white's pieces and gang up on some of these weaknesses. Kamryn's been pretty patient this whole game, which has been impressive. She provoked this move e4 when she played bishop f3 in the opening. She provoked this move b5 with her bishop a4 move, and then just to go back. But here's a new weakness. And even this a3 move, very patient, just controlling the pawn, making it harder for it to push and get out of the way of some of these threats. So, I mean, overall, her play so far has been very impressive to me, I have to say. And she looks relaxed and confident, too. That's a good sign. She should be. She has a nice position. Black is really thinking here. He must be worried about his b pawn. That's the only reason I can really think of for why he's taking so long. He could be debating whether to bring the king this way or this way, actually. Something like king here, bishop here. Well, king d7. Oh, come on. But I think we snagged the pawn. Okay. Well, this would have been an interesting way to go. I think we just take on b5 with the bishop, and it's no big deal. But he did end up playing king e5. Yeah. So a little bit of counterplay for black attacking the center pawn. That's going to be a little bit annoying. I still think bishop to e2 is the move. And then we sort of have to see what black decides to do after that, depending on what black will do. Like, we go bishop e2, do they then sacrifice their pawn, go for a line that I was showing a little bit ago, where it becomes like this desperate race? Or, actually, I don't even know what other option they have. Now that I think about it, though, b4, maybe we just push past a4, we get a pass pawn. Yeah, this b pawn is forever weak, even if we cannot take it right away. And we can take it right away, but we also have a hard time maneuvering our rook to go after it. But this pawn is very valuable. All of a sudden, our extra pawn is going to be killer. Okay, so I don't think b4 is an option because of that. So what? Okay, bishop e2 and knight c4. I was not expecting this move. Ah, knight c4. Wow, he played that fast. That must have been what Black was thinking about. He must have planned this move from before. Yeah, Bar doesn't like it, and I also felt like my first instinct that this must be bad. I mean, why can't we just take on b5? That's the real question. Just take on b5. I mean, the other option, of course, is to take the knight, but then we're going to lose our d5 pawn, something like this. No, this with the black king being so active, we don't want to take the risk that maybe somehow they can draw this. Should still be good for white. But I don't see why we can't take this. What am I missing something here? Wow, it's not even the best move. What is going on? Still quite good for white. Okay, now the bar is saying we're good. Yeah. Oh, she took on c4. Right? It was knight c4 she took. Huh. Oh. Um. What in the world? Okay, I mean, this might end up being a very critical moment in the game. And they just blitzed out a couple more moves. Okay, so let me get us caught up. B takes c4, rook takes, and king takes d5. Yeah, this is the line where I felt like, yes, white is better, but the path forward is not super clear. Because this pawn can now become a nuisance. And it may not, our b pawn may become a little bit of a target. But maybe we just take a very simple approach. Let's say we go rook c2 just to be ultra solid. We don't need to push any pawns or anything crazy yet. And if c5, maybe we just bring our king over, activate the king, maybe even king c3, and then only once the king is in a good position do we start to make progress from there. I think this would be the way to go. It's a fairly straightforward plan. I still can't get over why she didn't take the pawn. Was there some trick I didn't see? Knight b6 is an idea. Wow. Okay. Yeah, knight b6. It gets very complicated, actually. Knight b6 is a very good idea. I wonder if this is what Black had in mind. And maybe Kamryn spotted this move. The knight wants to take back the pawn. We can't go bishop here so easily. Huh. Very interesting. Yeah, and another thing is that even though computer likes this line more, it's more complicated than what Kamryn did. So she may have made a very good practical decision, like let's get this knight off the board while we can, and just it's a pawn up rook endgame. There are very decent chances to win it. We do have a pass pawn, an outside pass pawn, and no weaknesses. Yeah. Yeah, that actually makes quite a bit of sense the more I think about it. Not the best, most accurate move, but those variations with knight b6 could get very complicated. And anyway, knights in the endgame, there's always going to be tricks, so I can understand wanting to get rid of it. The bishop on e2 has also been a pretty bad piece for a long time, so I'd be eager to trade it off if I got the opportunity. So let's see, let's get back caught up with the game. Rook takes c4, king takes d5, and rook c2 and c5 as I predicted. Yes, okay. And now it's time to bring the king. We're not going to be able to make progress with the rook and two pawns versus a king, rook, and pawn. So it has to be bringing the king over. And then we can start to perhaps reposition the rook behind the a pawn. And yeah, so king f1 here. There's absolutely nothing for white to worry about in this position, I don't think. I don't want to get too complacent, but I really just don't see anything for black to do. They're too slow to bring the king around this way because our king will already be on c3 by that time. Yeah. What a struggle. I thought I saw a move. King f1. Yes, king f1. Very good. Okay. We're on our way. I think black will spend some time here. It is not obvious what they should do because white's plan suddenly is the one that's more straightforward than black's. Bring the king over, defend the pawns, then start to push. Maybe relocate the rook. The rook can go behind the pass pawn. I like that idea. That's gonna if that pawn starts marching with the rook behind it, this rook is gonna end up very passively having to blockade it, most likely. Um, or even like a rook d2. I'm thinking with the king on c3, rook d2, and we take over the open file for what it's worth. Then we can start pushing some pawns. King can come up to c4. This pawn is still a liability for black in that sort of situation. If our king makes it to c4, something's got to stay guarding the c5 pawn. Something's going to have to stop this pawn from running. White's rook is free to do all sorts of things. There's no counterplay on the king side. Kamryn should win this. And I honestly, I don't think it's even that difficult. I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, like rook c6 is sort of a sign to me that black doesn't really know what to do. He's sort of just waiting now. We'll see if there's some other point to this move, but I really don't see it. Half tempted to check and come in behind, but I don't think that makes much sense right now. I would just keep bringing the king closer. Okay, I'm gonna take this opportunity before maybe we see the finish of this game to take a little quick break. So I will be right back. Okay, I am back. We are back. And we have a couple more moves. Rook b6, okay. King d2 and rook b3. Yeah, this is a decent try. Trying to keep the king out from c3. Yeah. I think, though, that we can just maybe keep on marching with the king. King c1, king b1, king a2. Kick that rook out of there. And start to make some progress. We could even play b3 at some moment. Really lock down the c4 square. This is what Kamryn's doing. Okay, computer didn't love it, but it seems like the straightforward approach. Okay, there we go. That's more like it. It's very hard for black to do anything. There's not even, well, yeah, I mean, maybe they can try some sort of rook invasion if the king keeps going. No, rook d3, we just play rook d2. Rook d3, rook d2, c4. We're not going to take. We would not want to give black a pass pawn. But we could probably just go king c2. I wanted to play rook d2 just so that the rook could never invade. Block that, and we start to bring our king up. This feels good for white because from here, I would then perhaps maneuver the rook around and get behind this pawn. Seems like the winning way. It's really all Kamryn needs to do at this point is coordinate her king and rook in the right way, and then start to use her extra pawn as a decoy. Once black has to divert either the king or rook to defend that, we can make some progress against this c4 pawn. This position would be winning for white. Quite confident about that. What else could black do? It's hard to even say. Maybe c4, but actually, you know what? I just want to play rook d2 almost no matter what. Come up here. Yeah, maybe forget the plan of king b1, king a2. We just want to go rook d2 and king c2. That makes a lot more sense. Put the rook on the open file, put the king on c2. We don't trade rooks on d3. I suppose I should show why exactly. Now our king will be stuck stopping this pawn, and our two pawns cannot beat the king by themselves. So this would be, unless I'm mistaken, looks like good chances for black to get a draw. Why is this still good for white, though? How do we... You know what? Even if, say we go king d2, and the king comes over, or something like this, right? Black can never take because then this pawn runs. White can never move the king because then this pawn runs. But we can try to create some breakthroughs on the king side. I just don't really see how to do it. That's the problem. And black can just go back and forth. They don't really need to do anything. How is this better? This feels like it should just be a draw. I don't know why the computer prefers white. I know white's up a pawn, but be a draw. There's no like funny f3 stuff or g4 stuff even. We could play g4. Well, it's a black's turn first of all. So let's say we play g4. Oh my god, black actually wins. Let's not go crazy. Yeah, there's h5. Oh no. Yeah, pass pawn now, and black actually wins. Okay, so this is you have to be a little bit careful if it does end up in like a drawn king and pawn ending, that we don't go too crazy trying to win it when we have no business trying to win it. H4 perhaps is fine, or any king move, but I don't think we're winning it at this point. I don't think this is going to happen because I don't think Kamryn's going to go for a position where black gets a protected pass pawn like that. There's no way. King c1 was played, and then do we have any moves? c4. Okay. But now rook d2 and king c2 just makes a lot of sense. This is what I would expect. Oh, I left my water in the other room. That was silly. Okay, let me go and get that, but we do have rook d2 on the board. Mm-hmm. Okay, 2 seconds. I'll be right back. Okay. By the way, at the end of the game, I do believe Kamryn intends to join us for a little bit just to do a brief recap of the game and how things went, what her thought processes were. So if you're still with us, even at this late hour, stick around because we'll get to hear from her directly and get her actual thoughts on how the game went and what she was thinking at the different critical moments. By the way, just for those that have joined, this is the first round of the National Open, and we're covering Kamryn's games, obviously. But right now, our first round, she's playing up. Her opponent is rated about 1660 USCF, and so he's about 150 points ahead of Kamryn. But she has outplayed him from start to finish so far. And should she convert this, it'll be a very nice start to the tournament for her. Absolutely, a very nice start. I mean, black has to play rook d3, I'm pretty sure, because there's no way you can allow this rook to come in behind and start threatening some of these weaknesses. If you play king c5 and the rook comes in, there's no going back. Even rook d3, you might think black gets the open file, but yeah, they can't do anything with this rook. They can't invade to get any sort of counterplay, so you really just can't let white's rook in. Honestly, I'm not sure what he's thinking about. King e6. Oh, no. Well, first of all, okay. Okay, this might be a clever move. If rook d4, I think black intends to play c3, which would separate white's pawns. We can probably still get away with takes and some sort of position like this. Rook will now have to back up somewhere. And we have an outside pass pawn, but there's always chances for black to hold in an endgame like this, where white has only one extra pawn and it's a side pawn. Chances to hold probably should be winning for white, but not simple. Still, there would be work to do. But I think if Kamryn is patient, and she has been this whole game, If she just plays king c2, this should be the winning move. And okay, I guess the computer wants something else. Rook d4 is what she played. Wow. Okay, I mean, I'm a little bit worried about c3 giving some counterplay. See if he's going to move quickly. Yeah, c3 right away on the board. Okay. C3 played. Was there a better move in this position? D4 was the best move. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. In fact, Rook D4 was the top computer move. So, well done. We have a trade on C3. We'll see what he does. He took on C3. Okay. Maybe there was an argument to be made that it was better to take on A3, so that way this pawn that's running up the board, the king will be closer, potentially able to come over and stop it. So by taking on C3, the potential problem for black is that only the rook can stop this pawn, right? We play king b2, she's already done it. This rook is going to have to back up. And as this pawn progresses, eventually this rook is going to have to go passive behind the pawn. This king is cut off. That's a big deal. The king is cut off, and this king can come up behind the pawn. And yeah, there's not really going to be much hope for black, I don't think. Rook c8 played. So we're rapidly heading down this line. I know this is from earlier. The comment about the way he hit the clock shows his displeasure. Yeah, I mean, black should not be very happy with this game at all. White's been better from start to finish. And we'll see if she's able to convert it. They're both moving pretty quickly now. I think that Kamryn needs to really take her time here and just, you have the win, you're going to win. Just take your time and be accurate. And I'm sure almost any move here is winning. King a3, start pushing the pawn. Might even just play king a2 so the rook can't invade at all. King a3 was played. Okay. Yeah. It would not surprise me if we see a resignation somewhat soon, the way they're moving quickly. And if black can't get any sort of meaningful counterplay, it's going to be game over. What she should do here, after rook b1 was just played, there's an argument to be made for rook d2. You keep the king cut off. You protect your pawns in case black tries to go for a counterplay, which should be too slow anyway. And maybe you swing the rook across somewhere to block any checks, although the checks aren't really dangerous. We're just going to march our king in front of the pawn and keep making progress with them together. At some point, a rook will just slide over and block any checks. Yeah, so this is winning for white. Yeah, it should be just a matter of time at this point. As I mentioned a little bit ago, we'll very likely have Kamryn joining us right after the game just to share some of her thoughts and maybe go over a few of the critical moments. So be sure to stick around for that. And then, of course, we hope you'll join us. We're going to be here all weekend doing commentary on her games. There are 2 games tomorrow, 2 games Saturday, and 2 on Sunday. So lots of commentary, lots of exciting games to look forward to. And I'll be joined by Chess Von Doom, Omar Mills tomorrow morning. Sorry, afternoon, early afternoon. And then Nate Solon will be back in the evening. Okay. Rook d2 was played. Yeah, this is the move that I thought made the most sense. Again, very patient move. Kamryn's been really outstanding at this the entire time. Just making sure that there's no potential counterplay with this rook coming behind the pawns. Absolutely no danger. Then she can start to make progress with the king and pawn working together, marching up the board. Once they're far enough, close enough to queening, it might get a little bit technical towards the end where she has to bring this rook to shield from any checks from this rook, but it should be pretty straightforward at this point. Oh, we have the game in the background completed. I don't know who the players are or what happened, but looks like Black won that game. And we have a move g5. Yeah, my instincts are that looks a little bit um, desperate, perhaps, would be how I would describe this move. A little bit desperate. Um, there's not really any danger of a breakthrough. We got this rook covering just in case something does get through, but there's not going to be anything happening there. So now is the time to start to push this pawn. Yeah, that'll do it. Start to push, bring the king behind it. A5 is the move. We could also play rook b2, but it's not really necessary. Just push. And at some point, black's going to have to check, but then the king can zigzag up along with the pawn, help it to the promote. This is too slow, but perhaps there was nothing for black to do anyway. Yeah. It's really a matter of time now. Well, on the one hand, it's a pretty straightforward moment. On the other hand, Kamryn has plenty of time, so if she wants to work out the win just to be sure, it's time worth spending. It's worthwhile just to check to make sure there's no actual threat by black. Any pawn move basically can be ignored. F4, yeah, you know what? Maybe black's idea is to play this move. And then, so let's say A5, F4. And if we ignore it, let's say we bring the king with the pawn, takes. There is this weak pawn here, but I just don't think that black's going to have time to go after it. You come after this pawn, this guy's running. And you can't even take because now I just go here. And on the next move, I'm going to promote. Okay, rook e1. Don't promote now because you get skewered. But you can just throw in Rook a2. Whoa. Whoa there. And white's much faster. So this is not scary. What's important for Kamryn is to not get distracted by g5 and to just go a5. If she gets distracted and starts overreacting on the king side, maybe there's a chance for black to create something, but g5 is really just a desperation move. She played a5. There we go. I will say Kamryn has quite the poker face. She's been in the same pose this whole time. Can't tell if she's nervous, excited, scared. She's been rock solid, hasn't moved like an inch. I think her opponent is feeling a little frustrated right now. I mean, she just played great from start to finish. Played a lot of the top computer moves. And when she didn't, she picked moves that were practically very good. I think Black is realizing now that there's really nothing he can do. There's no kingside breakthrough. Any checks on a1 just help white make progress. I mean, that's just going to chase the king up the board. So the checks don't really do anything. Check, even king here, go back behind the pawn again, go here. That's just helping white get to where they want to be. But if you can't do that, f4 is too slow. We looked at that. g4, we can just, well, we can take, but we don't even have to. We can just play. You can probably just go h4. Okay, f4 played. Yeah, he's got to try something. But don't panic, Kamryn. Everything is fine. It's all under control. The one thing she maybe shouldn't do is take. This would be an overreaction. You can see the bar drops. Still good for white, but now you have to worry about any kind of push like this, or maybe even f3. Becomes a little bit of a race. Yeah, king a4 suddenly black's okay, but how exactly? That's the question. I'm a little bit fried. My brain is fried. So let's see, we can do, I don't think it's e3, because e3 we take and go rook e2. We just pick up the pawn. So that can't be it. Maybe f3. No, this doesn't really look convincing either, because at the very least we can go rook here and take. Okay, so actually there's something here for black, but I don't know what it is. So what is the move? How do we get the, why is this now a draw? Rook a1, king e5. Okay, so let's say we go here. Now e3, and the difference is that we can't go here to win the pawn the king can protect. So it's a race, but both sides have a dangerous pawn. What could happen here, if you're not very, very careful, I mean, there's even chances that white could lose this position. just because you can imagine the rook having to sacrifice for this pawn and this rook having to sacrifice for this pawn, but then black's king is close enough to come over and get these two pawns and this pawn comes through. That's very unlikely to happen. But okay, there's, black has some merit trying f4. Definitely Kamryn needs to be a little bit careful, but as long as she doesn't take, I don't think there's any danger, because what I showed before this line with taking and then trying to play rook e1 just really is too slow. We can simply push our a pawn, and if black takes the pawn, they're not in time to get back behind white's king after a move like this. Just rook a2, and on the next turn we promote. Do we have a move? Yes, I think we do a6. Just a6. Oh no. Oh no, that's a big mistake. Oh, and he missed the best move. Oh my goodness. Wow. The one mistake Kamryn made in the game, right at the end. Oh, that could have been a disaster. Oh no. Um wow, wow, wow. Yeah, you cannot let this pawn get too separated from the king. Because rook b6 is a draw. All of a sudden things are even. If you push, you get forked. You can't protect the pawn. Black could have just won the pawn in 2 moves by force, and then it's 4 versus 4, and it's just even. Oh my goodness. And I don't believe this because, okay, that was a little bit of a careless move by Kamryn there. She got extremely lucky because black played rook b8. King a4. Wow. And the thing that bothers me about this the most is that both players had plenty of time. They had plenty of time to see this. I mean, black, he's going to be so upset when he sees that he could have played rook b6. That was his chance. Wow. I feel sorry for him because he really should have seen it. But now the rook is horribly passive and there's just nothing. Rook b1. Okay, king a5 should be fine. Oh, rook a2 played. Okay, that's also good. This allows the king to come over to try to help. But actually, maybe it doesn't because a7 is a threat. Yeah, there's no time. King here, a7. Rook can't get back. King is too far away. This is just promoting. So yeah, rook a2. And I think we might get a resignation. Oh, rook b8 is played. Resignation is going to happen any moment, guys. But wow, what a turnaround that would have been if black had won that a-pawn when they had the chance. Oh, man. These endgames are tricky. You cannot assume that they're too simple. What a missed opportunity. Okay, in this position, there's simply a7. Rook has to go to a8, but then there's king b5, and black's king can try to come closer, but we go here. After king c8, rook check, king goes away, we go here. That's game. So rook b8, a7 played, very accurate, very good. And the only question now is how long black's going to fight this out. There really are no more tricks. A8 played. Very good. King b5. Yeah, it would be really crazy if anything went wrong here. This is now simple. For that one moment, it was not so simple, and both players missed it. But yeah, this is hopeless now. King b5, and just 2 more moves, 2 or 3 more moves, and Black's going to have to resign. I wonder if Kamryn, I'm going to ask her when we talk to her, I wonder if she spotted the mistake that she made pushing that pawn too quickly. I wonder if she saw it afterwards. Okay, King B6 played. There's no hope left for Black. The rook is stuck. King coming to C8 isn't in time. King C8, we go rook check. Really any move. But rook check is the simplest way, and then King B7. Here we are. Black is thinking. Just waiting to see if he'll play a few more moves or if he's going to throw in the towel now. Desperately searching for anything, but it's really hopeless at this point. Oh, and we have a resignation. Yeah, Black resigns. There it is. Kamryn has won her first game. Yay! Round 1 in the books. It's a victory. It was a well played game. And a bit of an upset for Kamryn. She beat somebody. Her opponent was 150 points higher rated than her. As soon as she is able, I believe Kamryn will join us. We'll do a quick little recap, get our thoughts on the game, and we'll call it a night before we come back tomorrow for 2 more rounds. Thank you all for tuning in and staying up late with us. What a game. It was good. Start to finish the whole way. One little slip at the end, but her opponent didn't spot it and she got away with it a little bit. But we'll take it. We'll take it. If anybody has any questions for Kamryn, I probably should have asked this earlier, but feel free to throw it in the chat. We might not see it because we're still on a delay, but feel free to send it our way. And we'll stay on for a few more minutes just to see if we can talk to Kamryn, see how she felt about the game. Yeah, ultimately, I think the London is a very good approach to dealing with the Dutch. I'd be curious to find out how much experience she had playing against it as white. I'm guessing not too much, but I mean, she played it really, really well. Okay, here we go. I think as soon as Kamryn leaves the playing hall, we'll get a chance to talk to her. Mm-hmm. Yes. Naturally, she can't chat while in the playing hall, so we'll have to give her a minute or two. Appreciate all of you being with us late tonight. If you just joined, um, Kamryn just finished her game. She won. And we're about to chat with her briefly just to get her sense of what happened in the game. Maybe go over a couple of critical moments, get a little insight into what she was thinking, and of course, congratulate her any moment now. So bear with us for 1 minute. Yeah, what a game it was. I will bring it back to the start. We had a London system. Here she is. Hi, Kamryn.
I'm finding a good spot.
Okay. Congratulations on your win.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I had you on mute.
Okay. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
It was a very nice
I was-
game.
I was terrified that I wasn't going to get that ball through, but was that rook check that I did, was that bad?
Which rook check? Towards the end?
I think it was rook d2.
Oh, let me see. In the end game,
My
right?
king was on.
Later than this, yeah.
It was when there was just rooks on board.
Yeah. No, this move you were nervous about? This was good.
Yeah, because I thought if you blocked with the rook, then you might get like a passer or something, or like it would be harder for me to get through.
Oh, well, if he blocks with the rook, I think you just play king c2. You just don't
That's
trade.
what I was going to do.
And then you know what you can even do? I was thinking you could go rook e2, rook e1, and swing around the back.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you had
Like
this in
in-
mind or not, but
No, I if anything, I was thinking to just push a4 at some point,
yeah, that
because like
could
each
probably work
time
too.
getting back. But
Right.
then I
Well,
guess his king kind of gets in. I don't know.
yeah, the only thing is if you ever take this rook, then you can't let them get this passed pawn. That would be not so great.
Yeah.
It seemed like you had the game under control the whole time. I don't know how confident you were feeling throughout the game, but you played some really nice moves.
Well, great. I managed to find. I think I found his chess.com profile like 10 minutes before the round. So he played the Dutch against Porter. So I had like 7 moves of prep.
You're a little bit quiet. Maybe you can you go a little closer to the microphone?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, that's much better. Yeah. Much
Okay.
better.
I don't know what I did, but
Yeah. So okay, so you had a little bit of prep. Do you want to just go through quickly from the beginning or There are a couple
Sure, yeah,
critical moments.
yeah, just the critical moments would be good. I mean, 5 minutes. You've been on commentating long enough.
It's okay. Yeah. So okay. So you sort of had this planned out from the beginning, then. I don't know if you had played against the Dutch before much with the London system.
Yeah, I don't see it much. So I think as far as I had prepped was like, yeah, the knight c3 and then the bishop e2, and then yeah, when he played the queen move, I wasn't really sure what to do. So
Yeah, this is a little bit of a weird move, but he's planning e5 eventually. Knight d7. That's not too
yeah,
unusual.
I figured he was
but
planning to just push in the center. Was there any way I could have stopped that, or should have I stopped him from pushing?
I don't think you can stop it. I've played positions like this myself. I think you just have to let it happen.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but both Nate and I were really praised how you handled the middle game. There was one little moment. Let's see, h3 was good. e5, yeah. I don't remember if it was here. If we said maybe you shouldn't really take. I think I would have just dropped back because you like these positions where black is tempted to play e4 and go like this. We looked at variations like this, where your bishop's actually pretty strong and you get like some knight b5 stuff and a lot of counterplay on the queen side.
Okay, I did consider that. I have a bad habit of whenever there's pawn tension, I just get rid of it, and I don't really think twice about it. But I did consider just dropping back, and I figured if he took on d4, then like I just have a pretty decent center, and if he pushes forward, I mean, yeah, I think I rejected it because I thought he might be getting too much space in the center.
Yeah, but it opens up your bishop. Yeah, that's the trade-off. Mm-hmm.
And later I even tried to induce that move.
Yeah, that was the part that we were all very impressed by. Although this knight to capture wasn't good. So maybe, what you really don't want, well, what black should try to do is get the two pawns. So it was very strange that he took with the knight. And then probably you should have just left it there. At least that was what we thought. Because, then you don't even have to ever deal with e4 stuff at all. And your bishop still stays on this diagonal.
Okay,
this
that
part
makes
was
sense.
a little bit strange. But, so you sort of helped black out a little bit in this position. Not that you were worse. You were never worse in this game, except for one moment in the endgame. We can look at it later. But, yeah, b6 was very strange. And you spent a lot of time thinking here, I believe, and you came up with bishop f3. How confident were you in that move?
I wasn't sure. I like every line that I calculated seemed fine. My only concern was like later in the game, like him having a pawn that far forward might be an issue if he like got some kind of a kingside attack. But I was like, for the like next, I don't know, 5-7 moves, it seems really good. So might as well play.
Yeah, at least in the short term, there's not really much danger to your king. So it made a lot of sense, but we were impressed because you basically gave up 2 tempos just to provoke this move. But the pressure that you got, the long-term pressure that you got on c7 was extremely valuable. So
I'm so glad that was a good move. I was okay, either they're going to love that move or they're going to hate that move.
Yeah, don't worry about what we think. Just
I'm trying to put it out of my mind.
We'll be gentle. If you make a mistake, yeah. Okay. All right. So then sort of everything was going your way pretty much the whole game. Like that bar never went below where it is now. And yeah, doubling the rooks made a lot of sense. Knight d5, did you play it now? Yeah, knight d5 also made a lot of sense. All of this was good. And yeah, you picked up a pawn. You made it look easy, Kamryn.
I know.
You made it look easy.
No, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to hang on to that central pawn, but I mean, I have the light squared bishop, so as long as I keep it on a light square, I'm like pretty much good.
Yeah, actually, it was very safe the whole time, it turned out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually don't love playing those kind of positions where I've got this like far advanced isolated pawn, but
yeah, but it's an extra pawn, so we'll take it, right?
I know, yeah. I was like, all
right. Yeah, this was all okay. I mean, there was a little thing here where you didn't really have to be so worried about the knight taking. This knight's pretty good as a blockader here, so to get rid of your more passive bishop wouldn't have been such a big deal. But you kind of, in a few moments, you kept things simple and it made a lot of sense.
Sorry, there's a lot of people walking by.
That's okay. Let's see, where was the next sort of critical moment? All of this was good. This was actually not a very good idea by black, apparently, but yeah, the one thing we were thinking here is maybe lead with the rook. Nate had this suggestion, because I think you brought your queen into c6, yeah. But if you lead with the rook, it's just a little bit more dangerous.
Okay, that was the other one I was considering.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I wanted the queen there. I was trying to think of ways that I could take the knight and then also have the rook and the queen lined up on the c file and then win the rook, but I don't think he would have allowed that. So I might have just been played home.
There were some tricky tactics. We were looking at some lines where like your queen comes in and it invades, especially after a trade on e5.
Yeah.
There were some
I did
little
miss the
details
move
there.
bishop e5.
Bishop
I did
e5,
not
you
even
missed
see
that
that
move? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even see the possibility.
Well, I mean, your bishop on h2 was so strong that it made sense, I guess.
Yeah, it did make sense. But then again, he's like, trading down when he's already down a pawn, so.
Yeah, that's true. I think the hope for black was to get some sort of situation where the knight could actually be safe on all these, like all the pieces were safe on dark squares, and your light square bishop stays stuck a little bit behind this pawn. It can't really go anywhere. Like those were the scenarios that we thought maybe black could hold on or have some hope. So, and this bishop is always putting pressure. Like it makes sense to get it off the board. Okay, so yeah, this happened, and then, oh yeah. Yeah, this was
a
little mistake, yeah. You're not...
I'm also pawn, I want to trade queens.
Yeah, I think that it's a little bit more complicated than that. I think what we decided was, yes, trading queens is good, but not if it compromises your pawn structure. So this actually, because if black had taken, you lose the possibility of being able to go like with a pawn majority on the queen side and get a pass pawn.
Oh, I see.
That was an important detail. And you also lose the ability to put pressure on the c file. You maybe free your bishop because you can guard this with your pawn, but it's hard to get your bishop anywhere, really.
Yeah, I was going to play c4 and then maybe like rook c2, but that, I mean, yeah, I don't think it's as strong as what I ultimately got, so I'm glad he didn't take it.
I think the problem is if you could go c4 and rook c2 and c5, that could be good. But I think the issue is they can go knight b7 and knight c5 and blockade it all.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And then it's like hard to find a spot for your bishop. Anyway, so it was a successful bluff. And then after this, I think any queen trade was good for you at this point. So after rook c2, you changed your mind here, right? You took with the rook instead of the pawn.
Yeah, I did.
That was fortunate.
I guess I figured it out.
Yeah. But that was impressive too, because I know you had in mind to take with the pawn, and that was good. Like at least that was your plan. To change your plan like that was impressive.
Yeah, I think it just made more sense also with where the square that the knight was on now, because it would take a while to like get back to kind of the center where it would have better attacking chances on that rook. He never really went after my rook though. I was kind of surprised.
I don't have a need to go to the room.
Yeah, it was hard for black to really do anything. This was a nice maneuver as well. You did this twice in this game, where you like made a bishop move and provoked a pawn move. You did it with bishop f3 to provoke this. You did it here to provoke b5, and now it's just another weakness. So yeah, that was and both times it cost you tempos, but it was worth it because of the change in the pawn structure. Yeah, we noticed
somehow it worked.
It was good. All of this was good.
Oh, that rook b5 I wasn't sure about either, but I guess it's okay.
Rook c5?
Yeah, because I don't know.
Well, what's the alternative? I mean, the pawn's going to be in danger.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe just bring the bishop back to b3 or something, but then it seems like it's not, I don't know, it's not doing as well as it could be.
Yeah, it's a little bit passive after all of that. Like, you really want it on e2 to attack, right? That would be the preference,
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah.
And then my b pawn is stuck. Yeah. So I guess it makes sense. I think I just don't like putting it like where it's nestled between two pawns, not defended by anything.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward, on b3. It's a little bit awkwardly placed there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the rook on c5. Yeah. Well, the thing is, they can't really attack it. I don't know. Somehow everything worked.
Gosh, I love 90-minute chess. I have so much time to think. I because all these lines, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember why I actually chose to do this. I actually calculated it because I had time to calculate it. It's
Is
so
this
great.
the longest time control you've played, or?
I've played 90. Wait, have I played longer? I don't remember. If I have, it's been a while.
Yeah. No, I also
have played one or two long games, but
yeah, I'm with you. I definitely prefer the longer time controls too. Okay. Yeah, all of this was good. Technically, rook takes b5 was the better move, but I think you made a good choice here just to take the knight off the board and simplify things a lot. Like, you basically enter an endgame where you can't lose. So
yeah, that's what I figured. I was gonna just try and brute force calculate it out, but I just, you're kind of getting down into the somewhat time pressure, and then yeah, the knights get tricky, so I'd rather just get it off.
Yep, that's exactly what we thought. Actually, I think Nate had already had to leave by then, so that's exactly what I thought. Yeah, all this looked good. And then just bring the king. You have time now. Everything is solid. Bring the king. This was all pretty straightforward, I thought. Yeah, nothing wrong here.
Awesome. I love a good king walk. That move was weird to me. I don't know why he didn't go c5 with the king.
Yeah,
I thought that was a little more testing, or I don't know.
Yeah, because if you had reached that same ending that you reached eventually, perhaps the king could have helped stop the a pawn or something. But then, all these pawns become vulnerable to your rook. You could invade something like this and go after him.
Right, yeah.
It's a possibility. Because black's rook actually can't get in on you no matter what they do. It's blocked off.
Yeah,
I guess
true.
I guess c3. So you probably need to get king c2 in first. I thought in this position you might play king c2 first and then do rook d4, but
I did play rook d4.
Yeah, I don't think it made a big difference, but maybe gave black a tiny bit of hope. Although not really, it's still just bad. Yeah, and then it was fairly straightforward, but I don't know, there was one moment where you made a mistake. Did you realize it during the game?
No.
Oh, okay.
Where was it?
It was a little further. It was this move, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
You got a little bit ahead of yourself because there's rook b6.
Oh, okay. I missed that one.
Yeah.
I was thinking if he went rook b8, which I think he...
That's what he did, yeah. He went rook b8.
Okay.
But now the rook is very passive and your king catches up. Yeah, the thing is you had to march the king and the pawn together. If you get too far away, then he has this little trick.
Oh, okay. I missed the sideways attack. I thought I calculated everything out because I was just the right amount of steps away with the king, but I got caught.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad he didn't play that. I would have been really sad.
I think he played rook b8 pretty quickly too, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty quickly.
Yeah, he was just up and down the board. I don't know.
Yeah. You played the whole game really well overall. There was that one little slip, but fortunately he missed it. When you got away with it. You deserved the win, that's for sure. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
How'd the stream and commentary go?
Good. Yeah. We No, it was all pretty smooth, I think. We have a bunch of people still watching, I think. So
awesome.
I think that's it for today, you guys. Sure, Kamryn's tired, needs to get some rest, and I definitely do.
Indeed. Yeah, it's super late for you, I know.
Yeah, it's okay. All right, thanks, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow, 2 more games, and Nate and Omar will be back as well. So we will see you then. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Awesome.
And congrats.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks,
Yeah.
Ian. I'll
All right.
leave and you can stream. Bye.
Bye, everybody.